It was as clear as ice. It was as clear as ice. It was floating quietly in mid-air, as if it was looking at Long Fei. Long Fei also stood in place and looked at him in a similar manner. After a long time, Long Fei asked, "Where did my friend go?" The ice sword let out a human's voice and said, "All of the outer region evils must die." To be able to tell immediately that young Taoist and Rampage were people from another realm? This sword looked different from the dragon sword that he had met in the beginning. The swords refined by the dragon god had their own differences, their strengths were also different. The level of suppression of the alien demons were also different, and even the loss of power was different. If it was the first time it was in the seal, his fist would probably have been smashed apart by the Raging King, but there was no such thing here. Moreover, the feeling the ice sword gave Long Fei was very strong. It was as if the one speaking to him was not the sword, but an incomparably huge powerhouse. Long Fei's brows tightened, and said, "You are a dragon sword?" Bing Jian said, "Yes, but you don't seem like the master I'm waiting for." It was a very direct sentence. Long Fei asked, "Is it just because of the alien friend that appeared by my side?" Ice Sword said, "That's right, the one suppressing the seal is the alien evil. If Master were to reincarnate, you would definitely not be together with the alien evil, so you are not the master I want to wait for." The Dragon Sword said, "Then how can I become your master? If you aren't the master you want to wait for, then you can directly crush him to become your master." There was nothing violence could not solve in this world. The Ice Sword heard the meaning behind Long Fei's words, and lightly said, "Just you?" He sounded somewhat contemptuous. Because with Long Fei's level, he didn't even qualify to attack. With a single slash, Long Fei was reduced to ashes. Long Fei remained neither humble nor arrogant, and said, "That's right, just me." He doesn't admit that he's the reincarnation of a dragon. He's him, he's even Long Fei, he doesn't want to be someone's reincarnation, isn't he your master? Until you admit it. So violent. Bing Jian said, "Those two alien friends of yours are not my match. Do you think with your cultivation level, you can block one of my attacks? What a joke. Hurry up and leave. If not for the dragon sword, you would already be a dead man now." Long Fei said indifferently, "Seems like you have already seen dragon sword before. That's even better. Since I can become his master, naturally, I can also become yours. Just now, you said that you can't block one of your attacks. Then 10 moves. Ice Sword said, "What 10 moves?" Long Fei said, "I won't die after taking 10 moves from you, obediently submit to me." Buzz. The sword vibrated and the entire abyss began to emit explosive sounds. The cracking sounds were especially ear-piercing. Long Fei looked at his own feet. The speed at which ice condensed could really be seen with the naked eye, and the ice continued to attack his feet, as if tens of thousands of tiny white worms were rushing towards him. Crash! Frost froze on his shoes. In an instant, his feet seemed to have grown roots as they were nailed firmly to the ground. He was unable to move at all. Long Fei did not struggle. As if nothing had happened, he looked at the Ice Sword with a calm expression. "Do you dare to accept the challenge? If I lose, I'll leave, or die here. I won, you take me as your boss." The Ice Sword said heavily, "I would like to see how many lives you have." Long Fei's words were a form of humiliation to him. A person from the warrior realm actually dared to say such arrogant words in front of him. One must know that the Ice Abyss was an existence of 18 Water Space Demons of the Seal. He did not even put the outer space powerhouse in his eyes, a mere warrior realm. How dare he be arrogant? The Ice Sword was enraged by Long Fei. In that instant, buzz! A cold light flashed, and the Ice Sword shouted, "First move. Kill." There was no cultivation technique, only an ordinary slash. Although it was just an ordinary slash, but it was much more powerful than those divine-level cultivation techniques. The entire sky seemed to freeze up. With a wave of the Ice Sword, all of the energy rushed towards Long Fei. As long as it entered his body, Long Fei was sure that his entire body would be frozen. However, there was a very important question. Could the Ice Sword cut into his body? The sword came slashing down with the power of frost. The long ice crystal beneath the Ice Sword chopped down towards Long Fei's head. A cold light flashed. Long Fei's hair instantly congealed into white frost, and his body was also completely frozen. Long Fei moved. Inside the broken pubes, the mini black holes began to operate. The ice sword was originally going to test, but Long Fei did not move at all when facing this sword strike. It was as if it was completely ignoring him, and the anger in his heart surged. He did not stop. It was a heavy blow. Boom. The sword hums rang out in all directions, but in the instant the ice sword touched Long Fei, the ice melted and all of the frost energy wildly disappeared. Under the ice sword, several beast scales appeared on Long Fei's forehead. The ice sword reacted and instantly flew out. Long Fei smirked and said, "First move." The ice sword stared at Long Fei without speaking for a moment, but in its heart, it was extremely shocked. What was the power released from his body just now? However, Long Fei did not give him any time to think, and said, "Continue. You think you're amazing just because you blocked one of my attacks. I didn't even use a single layer of my power just now." The ice sword raged. Boom. Rumble. Sky-shattering sword strike. This time, he released a sword move. The sword shadows danced a few times in the air. Suddenly, the sky was filled with sword shadows. Countless icy sword shadows bombarded down, layer by layer, like hundreds of mountains. Long Fei did not move. The power of frost heavily struck his body. His body sank a little, but he was able to resist it. The second move. Continue. If he could block the first attack but not the second, then he would be in a bit of a bad mood. Not to mention the warrior realm, even of the sovereign realm would not be able to take this attack. Ah! Boom! The ice sword flew into a rage as it released another powerful sword move. Boom! Even after chopping at Long Fei's body, he still did not move an inch. It was just that there were a few more beast scales on Long Fei's body. The third move. Continue. The fourth move. Continue. The fifth move. The sixth move. It's the ninth move already. There's still one more move left. This is your last chance. Otherwise, you will have to acknowledge me as your boss and obey my commands. Long Fei reminded her indifferently. In these 9 consecutive moves, Long Fei had been receiving damage all this time, and did not counterattack. After these 9 moves, frost had already tightly covered his feet, as if cement had been poured over his feet. But Long Fei did not move, like a boulder. At this moment, the ice sword had completely gone berserk. He had never been so humiliated before. He had never been so humiliated before. Even if he was suppressed here by Zhenshulong's sword, he had never been this humiliated before. He had never been like this even when he had faced the invasion of millions of alien demons. 9 moves in a row, not even a single hair on the opponent's head was damaged. Not even that. The key point was that Long Fei was just standing there and allowing him to attack him. It was the same as chopping firewood. He did not even hack the bark off 9 times in a row. What kind of tragedy was this? Buzz, buzz, buzz. The sword hummed from all directions. It was like the breathing of an ice sword. It was very ear-piercing. Long Fei stood there quietly, and said, "It's the last move, you must grasp it well. If you can't hurt me with this, you will lose." Buzz. A buzzing sound was heard. With a wave of the ice sword, it immediately became 9. The surrounding aura was obviously off. Moreover, the surrounding ice began to quickly melt. Long Fei secretly frowned. "Do you want the enlargement stroke?" This move was completely different from the previous 9 attacks. It was as though it had transformed into a type of power. At this moment, the dragon sword suddenly flew out and said, "Frost, you can't." Ice sword ignored him. "Go away." The dragon sword said heavily, "Frost, don't you understand? Only Master's blood essence could open the seal. If it wasn't Master, then who else could it be? Let alone 10 moves, even if it's 100 moves or 10,000 moves, you wouldn't be able to hurt Master." The ice sword had already gone berserk. No matter what the dragon sword said, the power released from his body did not weaken at all, but instead became stronger and stronger. The surrounding ice quickly melted as well. On both sides of the walls, there were large numbers of corpses. They laid there quietly, as the ice layer was their seal, so if it melted, then The demons and devils in the first seal had survived for billions of years, and they were able to create the big Master Guard arm. When the eternal coffin fused with Long Fei's body, it was no longer able to create a great ruler's equipment for him, but these were not the key points. The key thing was that these water space demons were still alive. Long Fei secretly tensed up, and said, "Come, last move." The dragon sword said, "Boss, you can't. If we release this move, I'm afraid the power of the entire seal will crumble. When that happens, these demons. Frost, do you understand what you're doing now? If you dare to release that power, if you hurt my lord, then you will be the sinner of the dragon race for all eternity. If my lord is not injured, then you can release those alien demons. Do I deserve the protection that I have been receiving for the past trillions of years?" It was loud. However, the ice sword acted as if it did not hear him. "No one can humiliate me, no one can humiliate me, no one can withstand 10 moves from me without dying. No one." Transforming into a sword, quietly guarding this place for 1,000,000,000,000 years. If a person could go crazy, the sword would naturally do the same. It had been too long. Furthermore, he was currently in a berserk state. He basically did not care what the dragon sword said, and did not care what the consequences would be. He only wanted to win over Long Fei right now. Thus, he was desperate. His strength was still increasing. The power of the 9 ice swords continuously increased. The layer of ice around them began to melt rapidly as water flowed like a small stream. As the layer of ice melted, the power of the seal weakened rapidly. Long Fei looked at his surroundings, "Still haven't seen a single golden light flash out, and they're all dead. Impossible, the first seal did not die, the demons in the seal are stronger, they can't die, these guys are definitely all boss. Is it because you haven't woken up yet?" Immediately, Long Fei looked at the ice sword and said, "This amount of power is not enough, you have to be stronger." Ah! The ice sword was enraged. His words further angered the ice sword, and even more crazily withdrew the power of the seal back into his body. Then, it crazily exploded again. The dragon sword said loudly, "Boss, don't anger him anymore. If all of the seal's energy is absorbed by him, then no one can stop these evil spirits." The corner of Long Fei's mouth lifted slightly, and he thought to himself, "If these demons don't wake up, then why did I come here?" Finding the dragon sword was only one of his goals. The main reason was, he wanted the level of the fiendish demons of the outer regions. Because, when he appeared in shrine, he wanted to crush everything. Even if Emperor Xian stood in front of him, he could only tremble. The higher the level of the demons here, the stronger the better. Ah! The ice sword was still exploding. His strength was still increasing. 3 minutes. Xuan Bai's frost sword had absorbed the power of the seal, causing the 9 swords to turn a fiery red, just like ice that was being burned by flames. An unimaginable scene. Long Fei was also secretly shocked, and said, "The dragon sword is truly extraordinary, the power of this sword is really strong." Long Fei secretly clenched his fists. Boom. On the surface of his skin, the beast scales were faintly visible. 9 sword slash. Whoosh. An ice sword suddenly flew out, aimed at Long Fei's head and slashed. Boom. Rumble. Long Fei's body heavily sank and he was overwhelmed with shock in his heart because what this ice sword chopped at was not his flesh, but his mind and sea of consciousness. The defense of the body of Tauti was completely useless. The revolving power of the mini black holes accelerated and crazily devoured the energy that was entering Long Fei's body. Huff. Long Fei secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Luckily there's still a guarantee, otherwise. Boom. Another slash came. Boom. Long Fei's body was like rolling thunder. Moreover, at the same time, as the 9 ice swords slashed down, the layers of ice on both sides began to crack and collapse. The bodies of the water space demons slowly revealed themselves, just like a dried-up corpse. However, their auras were faintly wrapped around the bodies of the dead. The presence of the dead meant that they were not dead yet. He is still alive. Long Fei was a little excited in his heart. Rumble. 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 One sword was getting stronger and stronger, the other sword was getting sharper and sharper. Long Fei almost could not take it anymore, and looked at the last gigantic flaming ice sword. The ice sword let out a roar, cut. The last sword slashed towards Long Fei. Long Fei raised both of his eyes heavily. As he finished filling his anger value, he looked at the final sword slash, and said, "It has always been you who attacked, now it's my turn." He waved his right hand. Buzz. The sky sword fell into his hands. He poured his anger value into it. Boom. In the midst of raging flames, Long Fei made a gesture and lightly struck with his sword, fall. Hualala. All of his anger was poured into a single sword strike. Bam. The flaming ice sword was instantly knocked away and slammed into the ice layer. The last layer of ice on the wall was shattered and the flames slowly extinguished. The entire ice abyss had fallen into darkness. You lost. Long Fei said indifferently. At this moment. Heh. An eerie sneer sounded. Long Fei's pupils became tight. The boss has awakened. The explosion of the ice sword absorbed all of the seal's power, allowing the entire deep abyss to quickly melt. The explosion of the ice sword absorbed all of the seal's power, allowing the entire deep abyss to quickly melt. Ice was the power of the seal. Now that the power of the seal was gone, these water space demons were about to wake up. Moreover, the moment they woke up, their bodies would glow with a golden light, the aura of a boss. I've lost. I actually lost. Ice Sword could not understand why he lost. The Dragon Sword said, "Right now, it's not a matter of whether we lose or not. What do you think is around us? You have exhausted all of the seal's energy, and now they are about to awaken." The Ice Sword was stunned. At first, he was furious, but he didn't think too much about it. Now that he had calmed down, he saw that the layer of ice had melted into water and completely disappeared. The Ice Sword trembled as it exclaimed, "Crap, the power of the seal." The Dragon Sword said in shock, "Ice is the power of your seal? These water space demons have not fully awakened yet. There is still time, quickly. Quick. The Dragon Sword began to panic. He had seen the brutality of water space demons, and if all of these water space demons woke up, the consequences would be unimaginable. Bing Jian also reacted. His aura moved. Wang. A layer of frost broke out, but his strength had already been completely used up in the 10 moves he used to attack Long Fei earlier, so there was no longer any more energy that he could use up to release the powerful frost seal. A thin layer of frost was released. He wanted to use the seal to hold the water space demon's S on both sides of the cliff. It was also at this time. A water space demon suddenly sat up, let out a heavy breath, and the thin layer of ice instantly melted. Want to use the seal again? Impossible. Woo ha ha ha. He. A sinister and cold laughter rang out. The damned seal is finally gone, ha ha ha. When the water space demons landed, he was covered in rags, and only a skeleton was left of his huge body. His entire body was shriveled up like a dried corpse. Its appearance was no different from a dried corpse. He landed heavily on the ground. The ground instantly cracked, not because of his weight, but because of some kind of destructive power that came from his body. The cracks continued to extend. In the end, the entire cave was filled with cracks, as if it would shatter with a light blow. The Ice Sword said heavily, "Demon, get the hell back." Boom. The power of frost heavily slashed down. The water space demon sneered and said, "With your strength." With a gentle wave of his right hand, he sent the Ice Sword flying. Clang. The Ice Sword fell to the ground and let out a painful cry, its sound very low. He also became incomparably weak. Seeing that, the Dragon Sword did not fly to the side of the Ice Sword, but instead quickly landed beside Long Fei, and said, "Boss, you go first, I will cut off the back." Ah! The Ice Sword struck again. This time, the water space demons didn't even look at him. With a light flick of his forefinger, a strand of power directly sent him flying out. His shriveled eyes stared coldly at Long Fei as he laughed sinisterly. "Did your blood essence unlock the seal?" Long Fei nodded and said, "That's right, what's the matter?" The Dragon Sword shook and said, "Boss." He felt that Long Fei should not admit to this matter. Admitting that there would definitely be danger, These Water Space Demons' hatred towards the Long family was greater than anything else, and they definitely would not let Long Fei get away easily. The corners of the Water Space Demons' shriveled mouth slightly hooked up, and said, "Looks like you really are the master of the seal's dragon sword, and also the first dragon that can reincarnate." Crack, crack, crack. One after another, ear-piercing sounds rang, just like the sound of bones popping. Several Water Space Demons woke up. Their eyes glowed green. All of their eyes were staring straight at Long Fei, their eyes filled with killing intent. The Ice Sword said weakly, Is he really master?" The Dragon Sword fiercely spoke, "Of course, who else did you think it was? Otherwise, how do you think the seal can be undone? If he isn't the master, do you think he would let you attack him 10 times? You still have a life to talk here. Even the Water Space Demons knows about this, but you don't. Sigh. Are you stupid? Boss came here to bring you away from here, but you actually attacked Boss. You. Now it has caused such a disaster." The Dragon Sword looked to be disappointed. The Ice Sword also realized its own mistake, and said while looking at Long Fei, "Master, yes, I'm sorry, it's all my fault." Long Fei waved his hand, and said, "It's fine, I don't blame you. If I were you, I would have done the same thing as well. Don't take it to heart, I'm not here for you." The Ice Sword did not react. The Water Space Demons standing at the very front was startled, and said, "It's not for him, could it be that you came for us?" The moment he finished speaking, all the Water Space Demons that had fallen behind him began to laugh. "Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Have they even reincarnated? In my opinion, you must have been reincarnated into a pig's body. Back then, we only got sealess because you couldn't kill us. We are not as strong as our commanders and can only be placed in a lower plane of existence by the seal. Don't you know how to think? Back then, if you can't kill us, can you kill us now? Ha ha ha. He's here to die. Yes. Back then you used the power of the ancient mother world to suppress us and fill up the void holes. But you never thought that there would be such a day, right?" While they were talking, the Water Space Demons on the other side of the cliff also woke up. Bang, bang, bang. They all fell to the ground. They all looked at Long Fei. Long Fei also looked at them, and asked, "How many bosses are there in total for the seal?" Bing Jian was startled and said, "Boss? Master, what's a boss?" The Dragon Sword said, "Idiot, Boss is talking about the number of these demons." Bing Jian said, "Oh, a total of 19. Long Fei swept his gaze over them as he counted silently in his heart, 2 more are needed. "Who's that?" Long Fei looked at the Water Space Demons who woke up first, and said, "Go and wake up the 2 of them. After sleeping for so many years, there's no need to sleep anymore." The Water Space Demon squinted his eyes and said sinisterly, "I hate it when people order me. Who do you think you are? Do you really think you're the Dragonhead, the guardian of the ancient world? Right now, you are nothing but a piece of trash." The voice was filled with an incomparably powerful strength. The sound wave was like a wave as it rolled out and completely crushed everything in its surroundings. The Dragon Sword and Ice Sword immediately began to tremble. The power was simply too great. Long Fei rubbed the bridge of his nose, grinned, and said, "I'll let you know who I am today. Junior brother, Mad King, work." Being mocked as trash. Being mocked as trash. Hee hee. You'll know who the trash is later. As Long Fei's voice fell, 2 people stood silently behind the crowd of Water Space Demons. One was the young Taoist. One of them was the Wild King who was holding a devil's battle axe, his eyes shining with excitement. At this time, these Water Space Demons did not immediately discover young Taoist and Kwong Wang, and were still staring at Long Fei with disdain. Those shriveled eyes were filled with contempt. "Face you in front of the seal, we want to let you have a taste of what it feels like to be trapped there. This is the mother plane of the plane. It is the best place to be our base of operations for us to reproduce. Low-level beings like you are not worthy of the resources of this world. You dog, go to hell." The corner of Long Fei's mouth quirked upwards as he gently smiled and said, "Kill." Bang, bang. 2 loud bangs. The devil's battle axe in Kwong Wang's hands smashed down heavily, instantly causing a outer space powerhouse to explode as its shriveled body split into pieces. It was also at this time Wota Space Demons turned his head to look. The Savage King raised his battle axe and swept it across. "Don't say that I didn't give you a chance, let's attack together, scum." The Savage King was indeed savage. Young Taoist was also willing and immediately retreated to the side. He had to protect Long Fei well. The group of outer space powerhouse stared at the Raging King and one of the demons asked, "Are you from another realm as well?" "Impossible. The void hole has been blocked off, so the alien creatures cannot enter this plane." "Where did you come from?" They wanted to know. They had entered this world from the void hole, and only that place could enter the ancient world. Kwong Wang had an irritated look on his face as he said, "F***CKU, why do you care how Lousy got here? It's time for a fight, you bunch of trash should hurry up and die." Boom. Before his voice fell, a Wota Space Demon's sneak attacked. His two palms started moving, bombarding the Savage King's chest. His speed was extremely fast. The Savage King did not try to block the attack, but allowed him to strike at him with his palm. This palm strike forced him back several steps, and he felt pain in his chest. "That's all." Kwong Wang patted the dust on his chest and said, "So weak." The eyes of the Wota Space Demons who had launched the sneak attack sunk. "Ah." He charged forward once more. This time, his speed was even faster and his strength was even more vigorous. He rushed to the Raging King's side and attacked with both of his palms that were like rolling thunder. But this time, the Savage King did not let him attack again. He raised his hand and the axe fell. Bam! The sword chopped down. Their shriveled bodies instantly turned into a mess. Even their blood didn't come out. In billions of years, their bodies had already lost their blood, and they had survived by relying on the preserved profound chi. With a single blow of the axe, he had been instantly killed. The Savage King disdainfully said, "Not even worth a single blow. Is there anyone who can fight?" His gaze swept across the entire audience. He was incomparably domineering. The young Taoist disdainfully said, "You only know how to posture. These fellows have been stuck in the seal for billions of years. Why are their cultivations in their weakest state? If they were at their peak, would you still be able to posture?" Indeed. 1,000,000,000,000 years was too long. Even when they were peak powerhouse back then, their cultivation was still weak to the extreme after such a long time had passed. Just like their bodies, they were incomparably shriveled and didn't even have blood on them. Kwong Wang rubbed the bridge of his nose, expressing his displeasure. "Damn, then should I let them train for a few more decades before killing them?" "Boss, can you not be like this?" Long Fei replied, "No need. These guys are all dead. Leave one half dead to me. As for the other one, I'll tell you later." Long Fei had been paying attention the entire time. Amongst these outer space powerhouses, the strongest one was none other than Yun Che himself. When these Wota Space Demons woke up, they all released the same amount of boss aura, but there wasn't much difference. On the side of the cliff, there was an unawakened magical beast. Its body glowed with a purple light. This boss was definitely the highest-leveled monster here. Kwong Wang grinned and said, "Understood." And then, the Wota Space Demons were panicking. "They're all from other realms. We should deal with them." "Exactly. If we want to dominate this world, these people aren't worthy of having Mother Original World. Big guy, it won't do you any good to kill us." Just as the young Taoist had said, their cultivations were low to the extreme. The experts of the universal realm were fine, they didn't have to bother about him. However, they were completely no match for a monster like the Wild King, and only had the duty of being beaten. "You talk too much. How irritating." The Savage King spoke a few sentences and then moved his body. Boom. His steps seemed to pass through as he instantly landed in the middle of the group of Wota Space Demons. His eyes darkened slightly as he revealed an excited sneer. "Hee hee." Then, the muscles on his arm suddenly exploded. The veins in his body bulged. The 10,000 demonic chi on the devil's battle axe also ignited. Sweep the enemy. Break. Grasping the axe with one hand, he swept it out horizontally. More than a dozen Wota Space Demons all had their heads chopped off in an instant, and half of their bodies swayed as they stood there. They didn't even have a chance to backfire. Bang, bang, bang. One by one, they fell to the ground. Kwong Wang said with disdain, "How boring, there's no challenge at all. Boss, when are you going to take me to see the mother? I think that world should be interesting." Last time in God's Design Attic, he felt a few extremely powerful auras. These few days, he couldn't forget about them, he just wanted to find someone he could fight against. Long Fei said, "I will bring you there. It won't be long." The Savage King said, "That's good. There's no one who can fight in this world. How boring. Universal realm? Not enough for him to hit. Right now, he could not even muster up a single ounce of energy. Even if he had to face these Wota space demons, it would be the same." The Ice Sword and Dragon Sword were stunned. He was scared stiff by the Savage King. Back then, their master was unable to kill these Wota space demons and could only get up, but now, this big guy killed them all with an axe or an axe. This power was quite terrifying. Long Fei's eyes tensed up, he stared at the guy who was still unconscious, and thought, "What's the situation? Still not waking up?" It was also at this time. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The ground began to shake violently. The Ice Sword immediately said, "Master, the seal is about to collapse, let's leave this place quickly." The Savage King glanced at the ice abyss and said, "It is indeed about to collapse." It was also at this time. The corpses of the Wota space demons on the ground shone with a translucent and sparkling light. Young Taoist was secretly surprised. Essence power? These rays of light gradually gathered onto the body of the last Wota space demons. Long Fei smiled lightly and said, "Didn't I say it before? Of course the big boss will go up in the end." The big boss would only appear in the end. The big boss would only appear in the end. Moreover, although this guy didn't wake up, he should have been paying close attention to every single movement here. To be exact, he was still awake. After trillions of years, they had been fatally wounded. That was energy. Even a god would not be able to withstand the seal for billions of years. Moreover, they had not reached the stage of being indestructible. He needed energy. It required a strong amount of energy to fill up his body and recover his cultivation. With the death of these Wota space demons, the profound chi stored in their bodies could make up for the energy that he needed. He continued to crazily absorb the energy. In just half a minute, his body began to become full. His skin became lustrous. He opened his eyes. Buzz. A demonic light flashed in his purple eyes. In that instant, his body disappeared. He suddenly woke up and disappeared. Too fast. It was so fast that even the Wild King was stunned. Long Fei immediately shouted, "Junior brother, don't let him escape." He was still weak, and he did not want to keep fighting. As long as he was able to escape, within a month, the entire North Desert domain would be like the seas sect before, with rivers of blood everywhere. They did not care about commoners, they would kill people whenever they saw them. No matter where one went, there would not be even a blade of grass growing. Young Taoist's reaction was also extremely fast. The immortal Taoist scriptures on his body instantly exploded, forming a barrier that sealed off the exit. Boom! A powerful collision sound rang out. The immortal Taoist scriptures' defensive wall caved in slightly, and golden runes bounced the outer space powerhouse back. Boom! The outer space powerhouse landed heavily. Looking at the immortal Taoist scriptures wall blocking the exit, he asked solemnly, "Immortal Taoist scriptures? You are from the immortal world?" As soon as he finished, Long Fei was secretly shocked in his heart. Young Taoist was the same as well as he said in astonishment, "You actually know about the immortal world?" The outer space powerhouse said, "Knowing that the immortal world is not anything strange. The immortal world is the higher planes, it's just that. I never thought that people from the immortal world would actually appear in such a lowly place." From what he knew, the ancient world was a lower plane. Young Taoist said, "That is none of your business." The outer space powerhouse said, "Everyone is from another world, to this world, we are invaders. Even though I have been trapped in the seal for billions of years, I have a huge power in this world, so if you need any help, I can help you with anything. It will be free of charge. You bastard, you just want us to spare you. The outer space powerhouse looked at the Wild King and said, "Today, if you spare me once, in the future, I will repay you handsomely. We have a lot of power in this world, there is nothing that we cannot do." The Wild King disdainfully said, "Since you guys have a lot of energy, then you should escape now." He was crazy. A single word could kill a person. Outer space powerhouse suddenly became speechless, and he no longer looked at the Rampage King, but looked at young Taoist and said, "How is it?" "I can even do it if you want this world to kneel at your feet," young Taoist replied, not interested. "The people from your immortal world are all powerful, but we came here several billion years earlier than you. If you dare to stop me, I guarantee that you won't be able to return to the immortal world." He threatened directly. Young Taoist didn't care, he didn't know where the immortal world was. He just needed to return to Hall of Eternal Life, and he would be fine as long as he could live a long life for Dark Goddess. As for the rest, he didn't need them. He didn't mean it. However, Wild Kings were different. He could not bear to see anyone act so arrogantly in front of him, and it was a threatening arrogantly at that. It got hot. The devil's battle axe moved, and chopped with its axe. The devils roared. The devil fire turned into a slash, smashing down heavily. But that outer space powerhouse was much stronger than the Raging King had expected, and his speed was even more strange. However, this time, he did not charge towards the immortal Taoist scripture's wall. He knew he could not break it. He did not attack young Taoist, but suddenly attacked Long Fei. He had seen everything just now. Long Fei was their master, and as long as he was under their control, nothing would be a problem. The power of the young Taoist was on the immortal Taoist scripture's wall. The battle between the Raging King and his axe cleaved air apart, making it impossible for him to protect Long Fei in the short term. As for the two dragon swordess beside Long Fei, they were simply unable to stop him. In other words, Long Fei's defense gap. No one could help him. Indeed. As he had expected, his speed instantly increased, and he instantly landed behind Long Fei. He grabbed Long Fei by the throat, and said in a gloomy voice, "Now that he's in my hands, you better move the immortal Taoist scriptures away." Young Taoist and Kwong Wang's gaze tensed up at the same time. His expression instantly turned serious. Never been so serious. It didn't matter if he dealt with them, but Long Fei could not afford to let anything happen to him. Kwong Wang's voice also became deathly heavy, and he said, "You better know what you're doing, I'll make you use soul flying later, do you believe me?" Long Fei was his bottom line. He came with Long Fei on a mission. The Lord of Eternal Life Hall asked him to protect Long Fei and help Long Fei to complete his Eternal Lord's training. This training had not even begun and Long Fei was already in trouble. Young Taoist was the same. Long Fei was his senior brother, and even more so his benefactor. The reason he was able to cultivate the complete immortal Taoist scriptures was also because of Long Fei. He would never forgive himself if anything happened to Long Fei. When the Wota space demons saw their serious expressions, he knew that his bet was right. He smiled and said, "You better get out of my way. All of you are very strong. Right now, my cultivation has yet to recover. I am unable to take care of all of you, but with my current strength, taking care of trash like him is an easy task. You don't want to see him die here, do you?" Wota space demons felt that he had grasped a trump card. Young Taoist did not think too much and immediately retracted his immortal Taoist scriptures' power. Kwong Wang also took a few steps back, but his body was still in a tight state and all the power in his body was surging. As long as there was a chance for him to do so, he could make this Wota space demons die without a burial ground. His eyes were like an eagle's. Wota space demons laughed proudly. "You said that all of you are outer space powerhouse, but all of you listened to this piece of trash's orders. It was truly embarrassing to the other realms." Long Fei said indifferently. The second time Wota space demons was startled, and asked, "What second time?" Long Fei said, "The second time I said the word trash." "Ha ha ha." Wota space demons laughed out loud, and said, "Are you not? Why else would you be under my control? Useless." Before he could say the word thing, his pupils suddenly constricted. In an instant, Long Fei raised his right hand. There was a special power in his hand. Young Taoist and Quang Wang also tensed up their eyes instantly. Power of eternity. He grabbed onto Wota Space Demon's hair and pulled on it fiercely, suppressing it completely, causing it to heavily flip backwards and crash into the ground. He stomped on Wota Space Demon's head and said loudly, "If I don't show off, do you think I am a sick cat?" The blood on top of his head gushed out. Instant kill. The power of eternity was just this overbearing. The power of eternity was just this overbearing. As long as he could control it well, it would be equivalent to a single strike. Instant kill. Long Fei himself was stunned. The power of eternity was not activated by him, but after he was grabbed by the throat, a burst of power suddenly came out from his right hand. Then, he grabbed Wota Space Demons and used all of his strength. The control of the power of eternity was not good at all. Until now, although he had never stopped cultivating, his realm had always been above the threshold, unable to enter, as if he had grasped something. This was the reason why he didn't have enough experience. He had experienced it once and had only completed one Hall of Eternal Life mission. To be able to grasp such a realm was already very impressive. F***CK. Who's the trash now? You're pinching my throat, aren't you feeling great now? Long Fei looked at the blood on the ground. Young Taoist and Quang Wang were dumbfounded. He was shocked by Long Fei's power of eternity. The two of them walked to Long Fei's side, looked at the Wota Space Demons on the ground, and the Wild King muttered, "I'm good, boss, you're too fierce aren't you?" One-hit kill. Young Taoist asked excitedly, "Senior brother, did you manage to grasp the power of eternity?" Long Fei said, "It's still the same, I just touched the doorstep, it's just that the time is not right, just now, only the power of eternity appeared and was released, I did not expect it to be so strong, just a tug and a fall and I will die. Is this the Wota Space Demons, too weak?" "Weak? Will he be weak?" Quang Wang said with a grin, "His cultivation is definitely not weak, it's just that the power of eternity you have is too strong, Sai. Why didn't the Eternal Coffin choose me? I also want to become an Eternal Lord and cultivate the power of eternity. If I can cultivate, then I will definitely destroy the gods and the demons, and destroy everything." The young Taoist disdainfully replied, "If you were the Eternal Lord, I would still be the master of the immortal realm. Even if you were the Eternal Lord, with your brain, you would still be able to comprehend the power of eternity." Quang Wang rolled his eyes at young Taoist, and angrily shouted, "TSK." Young Taoist said, "Cut my ass. Am I not?" The savage king fell silent. Indeed. He did not like to think too much. If he needed to use his brain to comprehend some profound martial arts, he would rather not practice it. It would be too much of a waste of his time. Power of eternity. The power of the only eternal coffin in the universe. This kind of power required not only training, but also comprehension. Long Fei didn't know why either. He did not practice power of eternity, but, in the process of using it, he felt that he had comprehended quite a few of them. He felt as if there was someone helping him cultivate. This kind of feeling was extremely strange. It had never appeared before, only in these few days. It was as if there was someone helping him comprehend and cultivate. With his memories sealed by the seal, he did not know what had happened in the past. However, Long Fei also definitely would not think that there was someone who would help him cultivate. Maybe it's because my inherent skill is too good. System Girl helped me level up all my body parts, including my various inherent skills. He could only be narcissistic. While the young Taoist and the Raging King were bickering, the system had also sounded out in Long Fei's mind. Ding. System notification. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Captain of Wota Space Demons. Do you wish to absorb it? Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Purple Abyss. The system rang out twice, and other than the kill notification, there was only one other item that dropped. Holy sh**. Long Fei looked at the thing that exploded, and immediately cursed, "This F***king blew up his purple eyes, isn't this a bit too disgusting?" The Purple Abyss was the eyeball of that demon from a moment ago. But the Purple Abyss looked like a world of purple devilish chi. It looked slightly horrifying. Long Fei was too lazy to check the stats. He directly threw them into the space ring and thought, should I ingest them? He looked at the Savage King and asked, you said earlier that his cultivation level isn't low. What about compared to yours? Kwong Wang stopped his bickering with young Taoist and said, of course he's far worse than me. With trash like him, I can beat 10 people with one hand, young Taoist said. You can only brag 10 times. If you really are that powerful, then how did your move just now be dodged? Moreover, you used your speed to dodge it. Kwong Wang said, that was due to negligence, and I only used a single layer of my strength. Didn't you see that the cave was about to collapse? If I were to go all out, we would all be buried alive here, young Taoist said. Find excuses for yourself. Want to take them? Long Fei was still depressed in his heart. He wanted to rise to the skies in a single step, or not consume it. Then, he looked at the dragon sword and asked, how many places are left? Dragon sword said, deducting the God's Tribe Palace area, there are still 7 other locations. Long Fei asked, what's the situation with the other 7 locations? Are all of them stronger than these guys? The dragon sword said, I'm not sure, but it should be about the same. Bing Jian said, Master, do you want to raise all 9 swords? Long Fei nodded his head, but at the same time, he made up his mind, I'll think about it after I absorb it. If his level were to reach the pinnacle, it would also mean that he needed to hunt for an even stronger powerhouse in order to level up. This way, leveling up would be too difficult. If he were to want to level up in the future, he would have to go hunting for the Wota space demons. This was what made him most hesitant. Capture was about to give the order, but in the end, his heart sank. Give up. Ding. System notification. Player has cancelled the ingestion. Huff. Long Fei let out a long sigh. How did I become so worried about my personal gains and losses? My personality should always be resolute and decisive, right? What happened to me these past few days? How strange, even his personality has changed. Long Fei didn't know what was going on. Someone had helped him to comprehend the power of eternity, but now even his personality had changed. However, it was also good for him to give up on ingestion. With the 2 great outer space powerhouses, Raging King and young Taoist by his side, leveling shouldn't be a big problem. Long Fei walked out of the seal. Young Taoist asked, Senior brother, where do we go now? Kwong Wang said, didn't you want to go and take over the God's Tribe? When are we going? Long Fei smiled faintly, looked into the distance and said, don't worry, God's Tribe can go to the next realm first. In another place. On the east side of God's Tribe Palace, there was a huge lake surface that rippled with microwave energy and was suffused with a crystal clear light. It was wide and boundless, and from afar, it looked like a heavenly river. This is the Wash Sky Pool. The scenery here was pleasing to the eye, like a fairyland, but this was actually the place where the universal realm was suppressed into the myriad realms. At this moment, the 4 great elders of God's tribe stood in 4 directions. Not far away, the great clan elder of the God's tribe gathered around as he shouted, Raise the dragon ancestor. Rising dragon ancestor. Rising dragon ancestor. As soon as his voice fell, all 4 elders who were standing in 4 different directions of the Wash Sky Pool sat cross-legged at the same time. The Wash Sky Pool quickly made a change. The calm heavenly lake suddenly became turbulent. Shrine trembled slightly. Many descendant of God's tribes and clan elders flew out of their manors and watched from afar. They were all there when the 13 dragon ancestors were suppressed by the Wash Sky Pool. This was to ensure the stability of the 4 seas and the wastelands under the universal realm and the safe development of those planes. Using dragon ancestor to guard, this was the strongest defensive power. Now that the dragon ancestor was summoned, who would be the guardian of this plane? This was something that the presbyter of God's tribe had never thought about before, and they did not need to think about it. Because the current God's tribe had completely ruled this world, no one could contend against him. It would be fine even without any guards, no one was an opponent of the God's tribe. Right now, what he needed to do was to lure Long Fei out and kill him. This way, no one in the universal realm could fight with him anymore. Roar! A roar! With a flip of its black dragon tail, The waves within the seraphic pond rolled dozens of feet high. Next, the dragon head slowly emerged from the depths. Its two black eyes were like searchlights as they emitted a bright light the moment they came out of the water. His eyes were filled with rage. However, in that instant, his eyes became lifeless, like a puppet that had been manipulated by someone. The dragon's face was ferocious. His entire body was suffused with the aura of a king, the kind of dragon that was born with the power to crush all living beings. However, the black dragon's water surface was like a wooden sculpture. It couldn't even be considered a dead dragon. At least the dead dragon still had a powerful aura, but the black dragon didn't have any. The black dragon ancestor was the most savage of the dragon ancestors. Right now, there was no such thing as savage on his body. It was as if he was a docile rabbit. This was probably the most humiliating moment of his life. Rise! The four elders shouted. Power surged. The black dragon rose into the air. It did not speak, nor could it speak, much less resist. Their dragon souls were firmly crushed by the powerhouse of God's tribe. He couldn't move at all. Once, the black dragon broke through the pressure, but it was also after that time that the Emperor Xian increased his strength. The black dragon writhed in the sky for a moment, then silently hovered in the air. If the four elders didn't tell him to move, he wouldn't move. Seeing this, many people from God's tribe laughed. This is the so-called dragon? Ha ha ha. It was once the #1 clan in ancient world, but now that it is better, does it still have the slightest bit of dragon power? What does a dragon count for? Our God's tribe is the king, the ruler of this world. What dragon? It looks like a worm. Worms. Right now, they are the guard dogs of the God's tribe. We can bite whoever we tell them to, but if we want it to bark like a dog, it has to bark like a dog. Grand Elder, let him learn to bark like a dog. Ha ha ha. The people of God's tribe laughed loudly. The once #1 being of ancient world, the #1 clan, what did it become now? Being stepped on by their God's tribes, they could not even move a single inch. The great elder smiled and said, the dragon race is high and mighty, but in the eyes of our God's tribe, no matter how high they are, they will still be trampled by us. Four great elder Tian Kai, can you make it bark like a dog? The four elders said, they are just puppets in our hands. They have to do whatever they want to do. Not to mention just barking like dogs, they can even eat dog shit. Ha ha ha. The great clan elder laughed loudly and said, there aren't any dog poop God's tribe either. Let him learn to bark like a dog and let our God's tribe's people see for themselves what he looks like when he barks like a dragon and dog. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Countless God's tribe started laughing. Learn to bark. This was a humiliation to a dragon. No dragon would do it even if it died. However, right now, they were completely under Ning's control. They couldn't control themselves at all. The four elders began to move as one of them said in a low voice, learn to bark at me like a dog. The black dragon struggled for a moment. Although he was under control, he still subconsciously resisted. The elder's face sank. He did not want to lose face in front of the great clan elder. This was his chance to show off. Glaring angrily, he flipped his right hand and took out a dark green magic strap. The venom on the magic strap was dripping. The whip swayed. A whip viciously lashed out. Didn't you hear what I said? Pa. With an explosive sound, several hundred pieces of dragon scales flew out. The wound underneath the whip began to burn crazily, as if it was coated with sulfuric acid. It seemed as if it were in incomparable pain. However, the people from the God's tribe wanted to laugh out loud. Ha ha ha. This whip will definitely feel extremely good. Ha ha ha. Dragon. He's even inferior to a slave. This is the strongest being on the surface. The most powerful trash, right? Ha ha ha. He laughed maniacally. At the same time, the black dragon slowly opened its mouth. Everyone quieted down. The black dragon's throat let out a cry. Woof. As soon as his voice faded, the entire audience was boiling over as they laughed in an incomparably joyous manner. Did you hear that? Dragon-like dog barks, ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. I'm dying of laughter, and I even learned it so much. It seems like it really is a dog. Ha ha ha. He's probably the first person in the history of the dragon clan to learn to bark like a dog. Dragons learn to bark like dogs, ha ha ha. He mocked crazily. The black dragon's pupils were trembling and its body was trembling. The energy within its body was frantically attacking him. He heard countless sounds of ridicule and knew what he had just done. He was doing his best. He was exerting strength like crazy. However, this time, he was unable to break through the seal. The great clan elder stroked his beard and smiled in satisfaction. Dragon clan? From today onwards, I will only be trampled to death by the god's tribe. Just that brat Long Fei. I want to see how long you can stay alive for. When the time comes, I want you to kneel in front of me and bark like a dog. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The great elder laughed and replied, continue. The 4 elders of the Heaven Lake sect slightly moved as their power once again surged into the Heaven Lake. Hualala. The poison dragon appeared. Just like the black dragon, he too was stupefied. He didn't have the domineering aura of a dragon, let alone the might of a dragon. Just like a large bug. Hualala. The azure dragon's appearance was the same. There was no way to resist. He also wanted to break through the suppression of the seal, but he couldn't. One by one, the 13 dragon patriarchs emerged from the heavenly lake and floated in the air side by side. From afar, they looked extremely domineering and valiant. However, if one looked closely, they would see that they weren't dragons at all. Aside from their dragon bodies, they didn't resemble dragons in the slightest. The pressure from God's tribe was unstoppable. The great elder smiled and said, 13 dragon patriarchs are like 13 pieces of trash. Ha ha ha. The entrance to the shrine was also known as the Gate of Heaven. The entrance to the shrine was also known as the Gate of Heaven. God's tribe viewed this place as the domain of the heavens. Everyone in the shrine possessed God's tribe blood vein, or people who had outstanding contributions to the God's tribe. Furthermore, the monsters that came from the ancient world also temporarily stayed in the shrine. The movements of the wash sky pool were so great, they had naturally been alerted as well. It was just that. When they saw the 13 dragon heads, they lost all interest. It didn't have the slightest bit of dragon aura. It wasn't called a dragon, but a large worm. Furthermore, it was a soft worm that didn't have any offensive properties. However, they could tell that the former overlord of the ancient world, the former number 1 race, he was once ancient world's number 1 expert. Now, nothing. He had already fallen into the realm of trash. That was something even a human could step on. If it was the dragon clan from the past, who would dare to do such a thing? Not to mention barking like a dog, even such insulting words would probably cause his death. A few of the ancient world's monsters sneered, "Dragon race, I'm afraid their clan will be exterminated." The 13 dragon ancestors all came out from the wash sky pool. Elder Tian Kai walked in front of the Great Elder and said respectfully, "Great Elder, do you want to ride it and play with it?" Riding the dragon? This was probably the dream of anyone with a martial arts training. Dragons were the strongest creatures in the world. If they could ride on his head and roam around, it would truly be a great experience. Immediately, the Great Elder's eyes lit up. Then we'll ride it and play around. Let's see what's so special about this dragon. Elder Tian Kai immediately took out a poison magic strap and handed it over with both hands, saying, "If it dares to disobey, then beat it fiercely. Every time it lashes them, the crushed seal in their bodies will become tighter and the pain in their bodies would become a little more painful." The Great Elder took the poison whip and rose into the air, instantly landing on the head of the green dragon. He sneered, "Let me test the effect of this whip first." Flashing through the air, Zhongxian lashed out fiercely. Pa! With an explosive sound, thousands of green dragon scales flew out and the venom fell on the wounds. The flesh on the wounds were all twitching. The wound was several meters deep. Dragon blood gushed out. The green dragon's pupils rapidly contracted as his body began to tremble. The head elder sneered and said, "Stand firm." As soon as he finished, he moved again with all his strength and swung out with the whip. Dragon scales splattered everywhere, and the skin was lacerated. Even with an incomparably large body, one could still see white bones from the whip, and the venom seeped into the wounds, causing the flesh and blood on both sides of the wounds to twitch. It hurt. However, this time, the green dragon's body did not move and it did not tremble. The great elder laughed complacently. "You're really obedient, even more obedient than dogs." Ha ha ha. The entire arena was once again filled with mockery. The great elder said, "Come up and play. If you don't ride now, you won't be able to ride again in a few days." Obviously, the great clan elder did not want these dragon ancestors to return to the ranks of the Wash Sky Pool. He wanted to lure Long Fei over. Long Fei was dead. Then there would be no one else who could compete with God's tribe, and Emperor Xian would no longer have to raise these watchdogs. Immediately, a dozen or so elders, each holding a poisonous magic strap, flew into the air. Before doing anything else, he whipped himself fiercely a few times. To them, it was simply an addiction. Beating a dragon? This was something that he had never dared to even think about before. Now that the life of the dragon ancestor was in their hands, what kind of power was this? Hualala. The 13 venomous magic strap rose up and began to smoke them at the same time. The head elder said with a heavy voice, "To the gates to the heavens." The 13 dragon ancestors flipped and flew towards the entrance of the Qingyun realm. Boom! Boom! Thunder rumbled. The entire sky was covered by the 13 dragon ancestors. Their bodies were incomparably huge. Their speed was extremely fast. However, these presbyter of God's tribe deliberately slowed down their speed, and when they flew out of the heaven realm, the great elder intentionally shouted, "Let out a dragon's roar. Faster. Pa." The great elder lashed out with his whip. The green dragon let out a roar. It was also at this time. The other 12 dragon patriarchs also let out a dragon's roar. In that instant, the entire universal realm was trembling. The roar of a dragon wreaked havoc, transmitting to trillions of kilometers. What is that sound? Dragon's roar? Is the dragon race in the universal realm? Wasn't the dragon race suppressed by the God's tribe? Why is there a dragon's roar? Many people were doubtful. At the same time, many people rushed to the mountain. This was the place where mortals made their pilgrimage to the celestial domain. The people in the distance didn't know what was going on, but the people at the foot of the mountain were all incomparably clear on what was going on. Each and every one of their gazes were lifeless, yet at the same time, filled with excitement. Yes, it's a dragon. It's a dragon. Wow, so many divine dragons. The dragon came out of shrine like this. Look, the presbyter of God's tribe is standing on top of the dragon's head. They are riding on their dragon heads. The mighty God's tribe. Countless people began to kowtow. Kneel on the ground. The great elder smiled and said, "Hang it up." An elder flew out and lashed out with his whip, striking one of the golden dragons. With a loud thud, he saw the dragon nail in the distance. "Hit yourself, head up, tail down." The golden dragon did not resist. It collided head-on with the incomparably thick nail. Bam! Crack! After inserting his head into the nail, his body sank down. His body, which was tens of thousands of meters long, instantly shook as the hammer descended. Fresh blood gushed out from the wound. It continuously flowed down along the draconic scales. This scene stunned everyone present. Staring at the enormous golden dragon, they were all stupefied. Next, dragon ancestor slammed into the nail and his body fell to the ground. He hung himself at the gates of the heavens. 13. It looked like 13 huge pillars. That scene. It was hard to imagine. Even the people on top of the mountain were trembling. The scene was too soul-stirring, and just like that, the dragon ancestor was crushed by the people of the God's tribe, becoming like this. Is this still a dragon? Was this still the dragon race that was so high up in the sky? The God's tribe is the king. God's tribe is king. God's tribe is awesome. More people kneeled down and kowtowed. The great elder did not even look at them. In his eyes, these were just mortals, ants. His voice sank as he said, "Listen carefully. Tell that little bastard Long Fei that if you want these dragon ancestral beings to live, then come and die quickly. Also, Tell Xiao Yarrow City's Murong Xiong, God's tribe will eliminate him. Ha ha ha. As soon as he finished, the great clan elder walked into the shrine. The wild laughter spread for tens of thousands of miles. 13 dragon patriarchs hung at the gates of heaven. They were like dead eels. At this time, with the death of the dragon ancestor, the news of the god's tribe releasing such a message crazily spread throughout the universal realm. A dragon that was tens of thousands of meters long. How enormous was its body? A dragon that was tens of thousands of meters long. How enormous was its body? As the wound left, blood gushed out like crazy and flowed down along the dragon's scale like a small stream. In less than a day, 13 dragon pools had appeared under the bodies of the 13 dragons. Dragon blood was a great tonic. It contained a great amount of profound chi and a great amount of energy. But no one dared to come close, and no one dared to use dragon blood to temper their body. It was not because they were afraid of the dragon race, but because they were afraid of the god's tribe. The god's tribe could make the dragon ancestor into such a miserable state. Who would dare to make a move? A few days. 13 dragon patriarchs had more or less blood flowing out of their bodies. Their bodies had also shriveled up quite a bit, and all of them looked as if they were about to shed their skin. He was on the verge of death and did not have any spirit. Xiao Yarrow City. Murong Xiong suddenly stood up. How could that be? This group of God's tribe's grandchildren is too much. Even Emperor Xian would not dare to do so. His eyes were filled with killing intent. The flames of fury burned. Xiaobai said, those dragon ancestors had all gone through life and death situations together with Boss. Boss treated them like brothers, but now they are hanging in front of the gates of heaven. This god's tribe dog is really too much of a bully. Ice and fire were dragons as well. However, his blood vein was not that pure. All these years, he had wanted to cultivate to have a huge body like a divine dragon, without wings. However, he discovered that no matter how much he cultivated, he couldn't be like the dragon ancestor. Now, when he heard that the dragon ancestor was hung at the heaven gate, he was the most furious. If Long Wushan had not given the dragon ancestor to the god's tribe, the 13th dragon ancestor would not be like this. Long Wushan, this thing that doesn't have any backbone. Being treated like a dog by the god's tribe, how can you still laugh? Queen of Blood Moon said, I don't know if Long Fei knows about this matter, but if he knew, he would have definitely rushed to the heavenly region at the first possible moment. Obviously, the reason the god's tribe hung the 13th dragon ancestor up was to lure Long Fei over. They must have set up an inescapable trap. Lan Mai said, this is a trap, Long Fei cannot go. Everyone knew that this was a trap set up by the god's tribe. However, they were well aware of Long Fei's personality. If he knew that the dragon ancestor had been arranged like this, he would definitely attack the god's tribe without a care. Elder Swordsman said, we all know his character. If he really wants to know, I'm afraid he would go crazy. Murong Xiong was slightly anxious. Then what do we do? Powerhouse S in the heaven realm are not something these universal realm S can compare to. Although God's tribe S are very arrogant, they are indeed very strong. And not only the powerhouse of God's tribe, I heard that the monsters that came from the ancient world are temporarily staying in the shrine. If they knew that he was the reincarnation of the first dragon, they would definitely not let Long Fei get away with it. His in the Emperor Xian. If he makes a move. Murong Xiong did not finish his words. He had seen the Emperor Xian once, and it was in the ancient world. After that, a shadow was left in his heart. Even if he managed to cultivate the power of spatial inheritance to the peak realm and control the profound truths of space and time, but in the hands of the Emperor Xian, he could not block one move. Because the Emperor Xian was too strong. That kind of power could make anyone tremble. Once Emperor Xian makes a move, Long Fei will definitely die. Everyone's eyes darkened. Xiao Bai slightly said, not necessarily. Everyone looked at him. Xiao Bai said, Boss' memory has been blocked by the seal, he doesn't remember all the things that happened in the past, the 13th dragon ancestor must also be the same. So, even if he knew that 13th dragon ancestor was dying on the heaven gate, he would not rush there. The Queen of Blood Moon said, Xiao Bai is right, his memories are indeed sealed by the seal, many people do not recognize him, and do not know about the things that happened in the past. Murong Xiong heaved a sigh of relief. That's good. Lan Mai said, his memories were sealed by the seal, but in the entire universal realm, only he is called Long Fei. All the people with the dragon surname were killed by the monsters in the ancient world, only he is called Long Fei. If he heard the words of the great clan elder of God's tribe, he would also immediately rush over. And he knows that his memories are sealed by the seal, but he is clear on one point. He knows that he is of the dragon race, and upon knowing that his clansmen are hung at the gates of heaven, how can he endure his anger? He'll definitely go. Everyone's hearts sank again. The Heaven's Gate must be an inescapable trap waiting for Long Fei to appear. This was certain death. Xiao Bai looked at Murong Xiong and said, City Lord Mu, can you first find boss with your spatial profound mysteries? Murong Xiong shook his head and said, I have not cultivated my spatial energy to the extent where I can track people. If only my father was here. Xiao Bai said, since we can't find boss, then we have to do something. Tan Depao could not hold back and said, if I were to say it, it would directly be one word, fuck. I don't believe that his god's tribe is that strong. Jian Feng said, I agree. Let's rush to the gate of heaven first and see if we can do something first. We really don't like being a cowardly turtle. I agree. Go to the heaven gate. Go. I don't care about what boss says. Let's go now. Long Fei had instructed them not to move from Xiao Yarrow City. However, now that they couldn't find Long Fei, they were incomparably anxious. No matter what, he had to do something. It's not their style to sit back and wait. A swamp somewhere. When Long Fei walked out of the seal, another dragon sword floated beside him. It was the same as in North Desert Domain. He had still yet to absorb the rank of Wota Space Demons, and was still at the soldier level. Huff. Long Fei exhaled a long breath, not because he did not have an acquisition level, but because he felt more and more that there was someone else living in his mind these past few days. From time to time, another scene appeared. He couldn't control it at all. His judgment, his thoughts, and his personality had all changed. This change was completely beyond his control. Young Taoist walked to Long Fei's side and asked, Senior brother, what are you thinking about? Long Fei withdrew his train of thought and asked, Junior brother, you have reincarnated a few times, and you should have experienced more than me. Have you ever experienced this kind of situation, where you feel as if you have always been someone else? Meaning, thinking, and also having a cultivation realm of his own, but he can influence himself. The Wild King was immediately stunned when he heard it, and immediately looked elsewhere to avoid Long Fei's gaze. Young Taoist seriously replied, No, if it's an avatar, then it should have the same thoughts as the main body. The main body should be able to control the avatar. Senior brother, there's something wrong with you during this period of time. Is there something wrong? Long Fei smiled and said, No. However, he secretly tightened his heart. Damn, could it be that I'm having a nervous breakdown? A lot of things always had a different way of thinking. These few days, Long Fei was really troubled, and felt like his brain was about to collapse. A lot of things always had a different way of thinking. These few days, Long Fei was really troubled, and felt like his brain was about to collapse. He didn't know why. He also could not recall what happened in the past. If he recovered his memory, then he would definitely know that he still had a clone. He had been in closed-door cultivation, training, so it could be said that no one knew of his existence. His existence was just a constant series of breakthroughs, and breakthroughs. He did not care about anything that happened in the world. He knew that if he wanted to stand at the highest point in this world, he had to become the strongest person in this world. As for him, it was for this purpose. Somewhere. He stood on top of a mountain peak and looked at a city not too far away. He said in a slightly depressed tone, I don't know how many years have passed, but why is it that I keep on releasing my senses? Why is it that real face can't feel my presence? Could it be that my real face has already? Who was the man? Long Fei. The other Long Fei. He knew exactly what had happened. He knew the system. He also knew who his clone was. Impossible. Long Fei shook her head slightly. If he had died, I would have sensed his presence a long time ago. Then why didn't Real Face reply? These few days, he was like a text message to his phone, constantly sending messages to the Real Face, waiting for a reply. No. It was as if he had been forgotten. He could clearly feel the existence of the Real Face, but he did not reply in the slightest. For this, he had to leave the mountain. Since sending a message was useless, then go find the Real Face. Standing at the peak of the mountain, he couldn't help but sigh as he looked at the world. Time passes, world after world. When I ascended from a small world to here, this world will soon become a thing of the past. Thinking of this, the space between his eyebrows tightened. Could Real Face still be in the small world? Sigh. Forget it, let's take a look at this world first. After coming to Universal Realm for so many years, I still haven't had a chance to experience this world's local customs and practices, so I'll take a look first. He took a step forward. Boom. His feet shone, and he began to laugh. At the foot of the mountain, a child pointed at the sky and said, "Mother, quickly, look. There are deities in the sky." The middle-aged woman beside the child did not raise her head. Tears trickled down her cheeks. "Little Hai, you're already so silly. Where did the deities from in this world come from?" The child anxiously said, "Mother, it really is an immortal. I just saw him flying in the sky." The middle-aged woman hugged the child tightly and said, "It is Mother's fault. Mother has let you down. I did not take care of you properly and caused you to become like this. Lil Hai, you have to remember, when you have people around you, don't say these idiotic words. There are no immortals in this world, and what you see is just an illusion. Alright, it's getting late. Let's go pick some feces." The middle-aged woman held a **tea ladle in her hand, while carrying 2 buckets of dung on her shoulder. She was leading a silly-looking child in an apron towards the owner's house. 1,000 miles in a single thought. Even faster. He raised his foot 1 second and appeared in front of the city gate the next. Long Fei raised his head and looked at the city gate. Holy King City, Saint Ruler? This name. That's a bit too much, isn't it? The Holy King City was a major city in the western peak of the 9 regions of the Universal Realm, which was also where the Holy King sect was located. The city was bustling with activity. The streets were crowded with people and there was a huge traffic flow. The city gate could not be seen even after one was in the city. The tea houses and restaurants on both sides of the street were packed with people. The most important part was the center of the street, which was also the central plaza. There was a building that was as large as a pagoda, and it was the landmark of the city. The building opened 4 doors. The black tortoise was the weapon, the azure dragon was the core, the vermilion bird was the array, and the white tiger was the beast. He was the window the Holy King sect set up in the city. It was also known as the Golden Absorbing Cave. The easiest way for a sect to obtain funds was to set up a shop to sell medicines and weapons. Holy King sect had an extremely high status in the West Peak region, and was a sect that was considered an overlord. The West Peak region also had powerhouse of the sovereign realm. It was also because of this that the Saint Ruler's domain had never been shaken even after 10,000 years. Of course, it had to do with his choice. Very early on, the Saint Ruler's domain stood on the same side as the God's tribe. Now that the God's tribe was in control of the world, the influence of the Saint Ruler's realm had increased by a lot. Is it about to start? There are still 3 minutes. Still not here. I'm dying of anxiety. What's the hurry? Good stuff, it's worth waiting for more time. That's right, I heard that the pellet this time was made by Taoist Master Liu himself. A pellet could stay in your body for 3 years, and you don't need to remove any pellets to replenish your spirit energy during that time, so this kind of pellet is simply a holy plea. To those who go into seclusion, he is even better than divine rank. Taoist Master Liu is not an ordinary alchemist. I heard that he is going to be selected to enter the shrine. At that time, his pills will not be something that we can easily buy. Then I'll have to hide it. Who knows, it might become an antique in the future. Forget about pills, this time, the new weapons are also very powerful. I heard that the materials were all taken from shrine. That's right, that's right. I've heard of it too. Whether it's a weapon or pills, as long as it's a product from the Holy King sect, it's definitely top-notch. Ha ha ha. That's right, D. The Saint Ruler Pavilion was the name of the building in the center. The 4 gates faced 4 different directions, also towards the 4 city gates. Now, each door was crammed with people, lined up in long, long queues, all the way to the city gate. The situation was very serious. Long Fei stood in the middle of the crowd, looked at the people around him and muttered, "What level are the pills in this world at? Let me see what the pills in this world are like." And then, Long Fei was also in line. However, his heart blinked a little in the line. He acted like he didn't belong in the mortal world, and many people noticed him. A beautiful woman approached him with a gentle voice and a misty look in her eyes. She smiled faintly and asked, "Young master, do you want to buy pills?" "Go away. I saw him first." A young woman with pretty good looks walked over to Long Fei's side and said, "Young noble, my father is a guard of the Saint Ruler Pavilion. If you wish to purchase pills, I can let you buy them in advance. With my dad's status, I can still get a discount, hey." After which, he chuckled softly. "He's mine, I saw him first. Young master, my brother is an outer disciple of the Holy King sect. I have the Holy King sect's medicinal pellets on me right now. Young master, our family has a lot of Holy King sect's pills. They are hidden on my bed, do you want to come with me to get them?" Every one of their little expressions was filled with hunger and thirst, as if they wanted to swallow Long Fei whole. S body had a unique charisma. This charisma was especially aimed at females. It was as though the air was filled with aphrodisiac fans, causing all females to go crazy from it. S body had a unique charisma. This charisma was especially aimed at females. It was as though the air was filled with aphrodisiac fans, causing all females to go crazy from it. Of course. Crazy about him alone. The real face had this unique charm, one that they could share with others. To his clone, he was also Long Fei himself. Right now, not only did he exude this charm that was absolutely attractive to beautiful girls, but he was also dressed in white. His elegant demeanor made the surrounding young ladies go crazy. All of them wanted to jump into Long Fei's embrace. They all flattered him. Even someone began to bid. "Little big brother, accompany me for a night. I'll buy whatever you want. Little big brother, I'll pay 30 million grand mist crystals to buy you a night. Young master, my family's young miss has said that if you can marry my family's young miss, half of the Chen family's assets will go to you." All of them were extremely generous. Many girls surrounded Long Fei, swallowing saliva, and looking extremely hungry and thirsty, as if they had reached the age of tigers and wolves. However, they were clearly around 20 years old, which was out of proportion to their behavior. So handsome. He's too handsome. Ah! The longer they watched, the more they could not extricate themselves. Many of the young ladies screamed, and the situation was on the verge of going out of control. However, no matter how much the situation went out of control, no one was able to get close to Long Fei. From start to finish, he stood there quietly, as if he did not even exist in his eyes. Because there were many beautiful ladies around, but there was nothing that caught his eyes. Even though he was just a clone, he had quite a lot of real faces memories, and any one of those women in his memories were already way ahead of them. Who is that? Holy *T, are you that handsome? Other than being a bit more handsome than me, which one of them is stronger? Exactly. He looks like a flashy playboy. In this world, cultivation is what is important. If you look good then you can eat. TSK. A bunch of superficial women. Many of the men in the team disdained him. At this time, from the side of the street, people came out as if they were 2 or 8,000. They pushed the people on the street to the side and said with a heavy voice, "All of you, scram for me. Young Master Sima has arrived." As soon as he finished, the crowd quickly retreated, opening up a path. One of them wore a purple crown and wore a white robe. He held a paper fan in his hand and waved it gently. A faint smile of a gentleman hung on his face. He was quite handsome. He was the #1 hedonist in the Holy King City, as well as the #1 handsome young master. Every time he appeared, it would cause a huge commotion. Plus, he was the eldest young master of the Sima family, which was even more different. It had to be known that the Sima family was the #1 family in Holy King City. Even in the Holy King sect, there were strong powers. Half of the family held important positions in the Holy King sect, and with the Holy King sect as their backing, the Sima family was even more so the absolute overlord of the Holy King City. The surroundings quieted down. They all made way, afraid of offending Holy King City's #1 silk pants. When Sima Tian walked out, he slightly closed his eyes and spread open both of his arms. 1 second, 2 seconds. 5 seconds passed. Sima Tian was a little taken aback. In the past, whenever he appeared on the streets, it would definitely cause the girl to scream. He really enjoyed this kind of process, but today was a little different. No screams. How strange, Sima Tian gently coughed. One of them raised his body a lot and shouted, "Young Master Sima has arrived." The sound was so loud that the entire street could hear it. Sima Tian gently waved his fan, revealing a humble and noble look. He raised his head 45 degrees and looked like he was pretending to be deep. In his heart, he thought again, scream. 1 second, 2 seconds. 10 seconds passed. Other than silence, there were no screams. Sima Tian had an awkward expression as he thought to himself, "Are there no women on the streets today?" At this time, one of the lackeys said, "Young master, look over there." Sima Tian looked over, and saw that the girls on the streets were all gathered around a man dressed in white, and there was no lack of young ladies from other families. These women could be considered as first-class beauties in the Holy King City, but seeing this situation, his eyebrows immediately tightened, and he became displeased. Then, who is this kid? That lackey Luo understood Sima Tian's personality very well. If he was robbed of his limelight, he would definitely be displeased. Luo Feng immediately said, "Young master, I'll go take a look." With that said, he walked towards Long Fei in large strides. "Get out of my way!" Luo Feng let out a heavy shout. When the girls saw Luo Yuan, they immediately lowered their heads and moved to the side. Bu Luo squeezed through the crowd. When he saw Long Fei, he immediately let out an arrogant cry and shouted, "Kid, who are you?" Long Fei ignored him. Xiao Luo felt that Long Fei was not giving him face, and this made him very unhappy. His triangular eyes turned sinister. "God damn, I'm talking to you, are you deaf?" Long Fei still did not acknowledge him. Just like the other women around them, he treated them as nothing. Bu Luo was even more unhappy. This time, he did not say anything, and stepped forward as he ruthlessly kicked Long Fei. His cultivation was not low, royal realm. It was also because he had such a high cultivation that Holy King City was afraid of him. The reason why he used this kick was because he wanted Long Fei to lie on the ground and even kill him with one kick. This way, he would definitely be rewarded. With a cold smile on his face, he thought about Sima Tian's reward. However, something was wrong this time. This kick of his felt like he had kicked a steel plate. Crack. The sound of bones breaking sounded. Luo Yuan's face was twisting as if he was slowing down. He opened his mouth to scream out in pain, but in that instant, the ground where his kick landed felt a force pull at him, causing his foot to jerk inward. Pa. Crack. His crotch had ruptured, and the two deadly eggi beneath him seemed to have split open. He just sat on the ground. The sound of bones breaking was about to come out, but this time, an even more painful sound came out, and his eyeballs were about to pop out. But he didn't even wait for him to call out. Bam! A wave of energy suddenly shook. Strangely enough, there were a lot of young girls blocking his path to him. However, the moment he shot out of the way, these young girls all automatically stepped back, opening up a path for him. They didn't know why, but it was as if they couldn't control themselves. His body was the same. Bam! A loud sound was heard. The lackey fell into a coma. Even if he didn't die, he would at least be crippled. From start to finish, Long Fei did not move a single bit, and did not even glance at the lackey. What powerful control! His control over his strength, to an unimaginably strong realm. On top of the Saint Ruler Pavilion, an old man stared at Long Fei. If one does not move, one would be able to control their strength to the limit. This kind of person can only be described with one word. The old man's deep gaze was locked onto Long Fei the entire time. If one does not move, one would be able to control their strength to the limit. This kind of person can only be described with one word. The old man's deep gaze was locked onto Long Fei the entire time. It was as if he wanted to see through Long Fei. However, no matter how sharp his eyes were, it was useless. In the end, he could not see anything special about Long Fei's body, nor could he sense anything from Long Fei's aura. However, this did not hinder Long Fei's position in his heart. What word? One of the 4 young disciples standing behind him couldn't help but ask. The old man came back to his senses and said lightly, terrifying. With that one word, the other elder's eyes were filled with disdain as he said, I don't think that's necessarily the case. I don't think that kid is that good. Not only does he not understand strength, he doesn't understand the situation either. Offending the Sima family in the Holy King City is not that powerful, it's that stupid. Just watch and see. He's going to have bad luck soon. One of the elders sneered coldly, his expression full of ridicule. In his eyes, Long Fei was someone who was about to die, that was all. Who would dare to offend the Sima clan of the Holy King City? Elder Liu, his strength control. The original elder. Not waiting for him to finish. Elder Liu took a step forward as he looked at another direction, interrupting, just watch and see, he's about to suffer. On the street. Sima Tian's expression turned sinister, anger written all over his face. He stared straight at Long Fei, then walked towards him step by step, and coldly said, You dare to touch my Sima clan's people in Holy King City? That's right. That's right. Very good. All these years, I haven't seen anyone who doesn't have good eyesight. Today, I've finally met one. Crash. Yi Zichen closed the fan. It fell into his hand and disappeared in an instant. It was also at this moment. Buzz. The supreme force burst out and his robe began to flutter. With a loud cracking sound, he took a step forward and a gust of wind blew out from the ground, creating a small wave of qi on the ground. It's young Master Sima. What a strong power. Do you feel the energy fluctuations in the air? No, I can feel it trembling under my feet. Damn, you stepped on my foot. I'm sorry, Sima Tian is finally going to make a move. I'm too excited, I just want to see Sima Tian ruthlessly beat that brat up right now. Beat him up? Then you've underestimated young Master Sima. He never left anyone alive when he attacked. That's true, no one has ever offended the Sima family and still managed to leave the Holy King City alive. Don't talk, young Master Sima is about to make his move. Whispers were heard all around. Many people wanted to see Long Fei become a joke. Long Fei was calm. To be exact. His gaze basically did not look at Sima Tian, as if he did not even exist, and was just like how it was in the beginning. A few gorgeous dressed young girls beside him reminded him in a low voice, Young Master, Sima Tian is not someone that is easy to mess with. You should be more careful. Half of Holy King City belongs to the Sima family, you must not offend him. Young Master, we can't help you. You have to be careful. The girls beside Long Fei were all extremely afraid of Sima Tian. At the same time he arrived in front of Long Fei, they all drew back, not daring to meet his eyes. Long Fei stood there quietly, not moving at all. Sima Tian's aura exploded, boom, the supreme force attacked. It formed a violent energy wave and attacked Long Fei. It appeared. The unique supreme force of the Sima family is able to break a person's heart veins, and Sima Tian has even cultivated this kind of unique supreme force to be as pure as fire. That kid's heart meridian is about to break. His 7 orifices are bleeding. However, Long Fei did not move. The supreme force Sima Tian released. Indistinctly, he came across some kind of power. It was like a fart, and it wasn't loud at all. There was no reaction at all. Sima Tian secretly tensed up between his brows, and said with a heavy voice, Kid, either you kneel, kowtow, and apologize, or I won't let you leave the Holy King City. Long Fei did not move, nor did he speak. Still, it was as if he hadn't heard her, as if he hadn't seen her at all. The muscles at the corner of Sima Tian's eyes twitched. "Did you hear what I said?" Raging flames of fury. The aura of his energy also burned as he frantically released it. Strength stripes could be seen with the naked eye. Many of the surrounding people were forced back by the power released from his body. However, Long Fei was the same, motionless. This made Sima Tian even more furious. "Ignore your father. Today, I will let you know my, Sima Tian's, methods." Boom. Both of his fists moved, releasing a golden supreme force. Sima family's sacred fist. Damn. Sima Tian is completely enraged. The first one to start is Sima Sheng fist, then this kid is dead for sure. Serves him right. A punch brewed. A small whirlpool appeared on his fist, constantly absorbing energy and punching out. This time, Long Fei moved. However, he merely raised his arm slightly and raised a finger. Buzz! Sima Tian's fist struck Long Fei's raised finger. His fingers didn't move at all. On the other hand, the joints of Sima Tian's fist exploded out, from his fingers to the bones of his entire arm. Hiss! Sima Tian took a deep breath and was about to scream. However, his throat was choked by a surge of power, and he couldn't even cry out in pain. Long Fei said coldly, "I only said one word. Scram." His finger descended. Sima Tian's body instantly bounced out. Bam! He rolled a dozen times on the ground before stopping. His face was pale and his right arm hung down. He couldn't lift it at all. Just a slight movement would cause excruciating pain. His eyes were blazing with anger. Sima Tian's teeth chattered loudly, but he did not move forward. Because he knew that he wasn't a match for them. However, he knew even more that Long Fei was dead for sure. He wasn't a match for them, but the Sima family had many experts. He endured the pain. Sima Tian fled in an extremely sorry state. In the entire process, Long Fei did not even glance at them, as if he was a god. In his eyes, everything was just a common thing, he did not need to care about it at all. As Sima Tian ran further, the people on both sides of the street looked at Long Fei as if he was a plague. No one dared to approach him, as they were afraid that they would be infected if they did. They actually dare to offend the Sima family. He actually dares to cripple Sima Tian's hand. Is he crazy? Bro, what last words do you have for the Sima family's experts before they arrive? Hurry up and leave. If you don't leave now, you won't be able to leave ever again. Long Fei did not move. Elder Liu's eyes turned cold within the Saint Ruler Pavilion. Another elder asked, "Just what is he planning to do?" Many girls felt that Long Fei had become even more handsome now that he had been forced away. Many girls felt that Long Fei had become even more handsome now that he had been forced away. They were the heroes of their dreams. Their hearts couldn't help but throb, but no one dared to step forward because, no matter how much they liked Long Fei, they couldn't go forward. They knew in their hearts that the consequences of offending the Sima clan in the Holy King City would be dire. They could only stare at Long Fei from afar in silence. This is good too. Long Fei landed on the ground in complete silence. Time's up. Suddenly, a voice came from the Saint Ruler Pavilion. Immediately, everyone looked at the Saint Ruler Pavilion and all became excited again. It's starting to sell, it's starting to sell. Finally, it's time. Crash. The 4 doors opened. Everyone flocked to the door. I want the elixir, I want the elixir. I want an immortal martial technique, an immortal martial technique. Formations. 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 Demon beast, war pet. In an instant, the entire street was filled with noise and excitement. In an instant, no one was discussing what just happened. The elder on the Saint Ruler Pavilion kept his eyes on Long Fei as he watched him slowly move forward with the group. He warned him, "Let's see what he wants to buy." A disciple said, "Yes. Go downstairs." Elder Liu laughed disdainfully. "I think what he needs the most right now is not some pill or weapon, but a coffin." Elder Lei, what do you think? Elder Lei laughed and did not say a word. When Elder Liu saw that Elder Lei did not speak, he could not help but sneer and said, Elder Lei, do not forget why you are here today. Today's batch of pills was personally concocted by my master to test the medicinal properties of the pills, and you are the guardian of this test. You have to carry out the test perfectly. Understood? Elder Liu's heart was filled with contempt. When he said that, he was reminding Elder Lei not to think about helping that Long Fei fellow. Otherwise, the consequences would be dire. His master was the Taoist Master Liu. The strongest alchemy master in the Holy King sect, was also the vice sect master. As long as the effect of the new pill was good, he would be able to offer it to the God's tribe, and maybe the presbyter of God's tribe would like it, then he would be able to successfully enter the shrine. Thus, this test is very important. The Elder Lei was sent to ensure that this test would be carried out successfully. Elder Lei said solemnly, I know where my own self-blame lies. Elder Liu said, it's best if you know. I got it. Ha ha ha. I bought a pill personally refined by the Taoist Master Liu. I got it too. I can feel that this pill seems to have a consciousness. It seems to be pulsing. Too awesome. All of them were excited. This kind of pill could easily be sold for a fortune. Long Fei leisurely walked to the window and said, I want a medicinal pellet. The disciple at the window looked at Long Fei and said, 1 million grand mist crystals. A single pill was worth 1 million grand mist crystals. This price was a bit frightening. Long Fei hesitated. The disciple inside seemed a bit impatient and said, Are you going to buy it or not? If you don't want to buy it, then don't take the spot. Long Fei replied, I don't have any money. Grand mist crystal? To be honest, he had been in the universal realm for a long time and didn't know about things like the grand mist crystals. He started cultivating after entering the universal realm and didn't care about money at all. Money, this kind of thing did not even exist in Powerhouse's eyes. However, in the eyes of ordinary people, it was truly a lifelong pursuit. Ha ha ha. No money. What are you doing here with no money? I knew he was just Xiaobai's face. What does he know? Poor bastard, ha ha ha. Brat, if you don't have the money, then scram. Don't waste our time. F***ck, are you kidding me? That disciple was also very unhappy and directly scolded, if you don't have money, then scram to the side. You want to buy Ling Dans with such a poor soul? Scram to the side. Soon, the conversation downstairs reached upstairs. Elder Liu smiled slightly, and said, as expected, his face is that of a Xiao Bai with a bright surface, and he can't even take out 1 million grand mist crystals. What kind of expert is he, like this? Ha ha ha. Tell him to scram far away. Don't wait until the Sima family's people come and mess up my business. Elder Liu said heavily. He was not finished. One of the disciples quickly ran up and said, Elders, you two had better go down and have a look. Elder Liu's eyebrows tightened. The Sima family's people have come? With his cultivation level, it was impossible for him to climb a few floors. However, he was currently blushing and gasping for breath, his face filled with excitement as he said, No, you guys go take a look, you'll know once you see it. I can't make up my mind. Elder Liu had a look of displeasure on his face, useless, unable to do anything small. Elder Lei said, Let's go down and take a look. Elder Liu was 100 times unwilling, but he still walked on. In the hall on the first floor of the Saint Ruler Pavilion, purple light curled up as an imposing manner surged forth. It was as if one was standing in the middle of a gigantic spirit-gathering array. It was abnormally intense. This is the holy artifact. Furthermore, he was not an ordinary holy artifact, he was definitely a top-grade holy artifact. It was hard to imagine. The disciple outside the window was stunned. His entire body was like a wooden doll as he stood there motionlessly, unable to utter a single word. He had seen the holy artifact in the hands of some elders, but, compared to the holy artifact in front of his eyes, there was simply no comparison. The holy artifact he had seen in the past were like ants. Elder Liu walked down the stairs and said unhappily, What happened? Before he could finish his words. He was also stunned. His eyes narrowed as he stared at the window. Elder Lei was shocked. Superior quality holy artifact. My God! Let alone these disciples, even he had never seen holy artifact of this level. The entire hall was silent. The disciple's face was full of astonishment. He did not dare move, and even more so, did not dare to touch the thing that Long Fei had taken out. Long Fei said indifferently, "Is this okay? A top-grade holy artifact, using this to exchange for a spirit pill that was worth 1,000,000 grand mist crystals? If this person wasn't retarded, then he must be crazy." The disciple was even more shocked. Just a moment ago, he was still jeering at the poor bastard, but now, he had taken out a high-quality holy artifact. This caused him to not be able to react in time. No one could react. All of them were shocked by this high-quality holy artifact. "Isn't it enough?" Long Fei muttered in his heart. He did not have any concept of money, nor did he have any concept of how much a holy artifact was worth. No matter what happened outside, he would only cultivate. The Ascension world after world, from beginning to end, was the same. Cultivation, cultivation. Thus, he had no idea what money was. Seeing their stupefied expressions, Long Fei flipped his right hand, and a divine treasure that emitted a purple divine light appeared in his hand. He said indifferently, "2 pieces is enough." With a serious and solemn expression, there was no intention for him to play around with Zhongxian at all. With a serious and solemn expression, there was no intention for him to play around with Zhongxian at all. This time, all of the Holy King sects were trembling, including the 2 elders. His tongue was trembling. Is Holy King sect awesome? Awesome. A sect at the level of an overlord, its sect master was even a sovereign realm powerhouse, was a distinguished guest of the God's Tribe Palace and had no less than 100 holy artifact. But, if he did not even have a single high-rank holy artifact, then there was no need to talk about high-rank divine spirit artifacts like these. Right now, Long Fei started with 2, and it looked like he was doing it casually. If this kind of person wasn't stupid, then it could only be described with one word. The trenches. Extremely domineering, somersaulting back to Thomas Trench at 720 degrees. The disciple's entire body trembled as he turned his head to look at the elder. Elder Liu swallowed his saliva and rushed forward. "Enough, enough, enough, enough." His voice was shaking. One of his hands grabbed onto the 2 holy artifacts. In the instant he held onto them, his arm trembled, as if he was flying in the sky. The excitement in his heart was incomparable. That disciple's eyes were also shining brightly, thinking to himself, how much did the Holy King sect earn from this transaction? While he was still in a daze, Elder Liu spoke in a low voice, "What are you still standing there for? Hurry up and give the spirit pellets to her." The disciple reacted and immediately took out a small bottle. Just as he was about to hand it over, the corners of Elder Liu's eyes became sinister. He pushed the disciple away and said, "Slow down. Don't you know that the guest is waiting for us? Furthermore, how can this kind of pill be compatible with such a precious customer?" He changed the bottle into a smaller one, picked up a red one, and handed it over, saying, "This is a pill refined personally by my master. 1 pellet doesn't need to absorb the spiritual chi of heaven and earth for 3 years. I guarantee that your cultivation will increase by leaps and bounds." Elder Lei's gaze tensed up. Others might not know, but he was very clear that the pellet on the red ground was a newly developed pellet for testing and using these xiao by mouse for experiments. Moreover, this time was even more different. This pill was extremely dangerous. The one who consumed it. So far none of them had survived. It was obvious that Elder Liu was doing this on purpose. He wanted Long Fei to die. Because when he saw Long Fei taking out the pellets from the space ring, his eyes had always been staring at the ring on Long Fei's finger. If he were to casually take out 2 holy artifact, how many of them would he have? It was unimaginable. If he could obtain this ring, then he would be rich. Elder Lei walked over and said, "Do you want some other pills?" Elder Liu's eyes slightly narrowed, and said with sound transmission, "Lei Hang, what are you trying to do? You dare to spoil my plans?" The Elder Lei replied with a voice transmission, "Elder Liu, he has already given us 2 holy artifact. You can't harm him anymore, right?" Elder Liu said, Can you and me obtain the holy artifact for the next 2 years? Isn't it because we need to hand it over? This guy casually took out 2 super holy artifact, who knows how many more he has. As long as we kill him, the treasures in the space ring will be ours. Don't worry, I'll definitely give you some. Are you willing to become a small elder in your entire life? Are you willing to have it stay in the West Peak region? Lei Hang, this is a chance to defy the heavens and change fate. Are you willing to miss it? Every word struck the heart. He was eager to get rich. There could not be a person in this world who used a super holy artifact to exchange for pellets, and if there was, that person would definitely be a fool. Elder Liu felt as if a pie had fallen from the sky right in front of him. If he didn't catch it, he would regret it for the rest of his life. Lei Hang wanted to advise Elder Liu, but his words had ruined his mind. A high-quality holy artifact could really change their lives. Lei Hang became silent. Elder Liu gave a respectful smile as he handed over the bottle. Be careful with this. This pill is limited to your purchases. Long Fei took it, opened the stopper and placed it beside his nose to smell it. Elder Liu was startled, and said, "Don't worry, this is a pill that I refined personally by releasing Taoist Master Liu, it is definitely worth it." Long Fei laughed, then raised his head and consumed it. If one wanted to know the level of the pills in this world, the best way was to try it out. Seeing Long Fei pour the spirit medicine into his mouth, Elder Liu's eyes grew even wider, his fists clenched tightly, he became even more nervous than Long Fei. I was afraid that Long Fei wouldn't consume it, but now, seeing him consume it back then, his heart started to jump with joy. Ha ha ha. Now everything that's on him is mine. I'm going to send it. As long as there's a super holy artifact, what can a mere holy king sect do? I also want to enter the gods' tribe, enter the shrine, ha ha ha. He couldn't help but feel excited as he thought of this. Long Fei drank it all in one gulp, felt it slightly, and muttered, "Is Universal Realms medicine only at this level?" There was a hint of disappointment in his eyes. He had hoped for it, but after taking it, the level of this pill was too weak, whether it was in terms of methods, quality of spirit medicine, or even the choice of spirit grass, everything was a mess. It was as if the image of this pellet appearing in his mind from the moment it was selected to the moment it was refined into a pellet. Every step was wrong. Thus, what a mess. Although this is a testing pellet, one must know that this pellet came from the Taoist Master Liu. He is a Grandmaster of Alchemy, and is the #1 powerhouse in the Western Peak region. Any spirit grass that passed by his hands would be able to unleash an extremely powerful force. How could it be a mess? After consuming it, Long Fei grinned and said, "Too weak." With that, Long Fei turned and left. Elder Liu's eyes narrowed. Wait. Long Fei stopped and asked, "Is there anything else?" Elder Liu said, "Do you have no reaction after taking this pill?" Long Fei said, "What kind of reaction do you want?" He didn't react at all. The pill was like a bean to him, completely devoid of any spiritual power. This was because the spiritual energy within this pill was too weak to sense his current cultivation. Elder Liu's heart tightened. How is he fine? Could it be that the pill teacher developed has succeeded? That's not right. If he succeeded, he wouldn't be in this state right now. Long Fei was about to leave again. Elder Liu shouted again, "Kid, what did you say just now? Do you think this pill is too weak? Are you insulting Taoist Master Liu?" He had to keep Long Fei. No matter what price he had to pay, he had to keep Long Fei here. Because he wanted to obtain Long Fei's space ring. It was also at this time. Sima Tian pointed at Long Fei, who was dressed in white in the crowd, and heavily shouted, "Father, it's him." On the side of the street, over 100 men rushed over with a murderous look on their faces. On the side of the street, over 100 men rushed over with a murderous look on their faces. The one leading them was the Sima Tian, who had crippled his arm. He didn't examine his arm, but brought the Sima family's clansmen out as soon as possible. The Sima family ate everything they had, but they didn't suffer any losses. He had never been bullied in the Holy King City. Sima Tian stared at Long Fei and said, "I, Sima Tian, have always bullied people, no one has ever dared to bully me." Dog. Today, not even the gods can save you, Sima Tian said fiercely. The members of the Sima family looked at Long Fei as well. Long Fei was still the same as before, with a calm expression and eyes that turned a blind eye, as if Sima Tian was not talking about him. He didn't seem to care at all. Because Sima Tian was simply not qualified. When Elder Liu saw the Sima family come out, his eyes narrowed and he said, "Brat, the Sima family is the strongest family in the Holy King City, and they even have Overlord Realm S. If you want to live, then obediently listen to my orders. My family will definitely not dare to touch you." Long Fei was the same, he didn't bother about her. Elder Liu's eyes grew sinister as his heart grew angry. "Brat, you better think this through. I am the only one who can save you." Long Fei suddenly stopped. Seeing Long Fei turn around, he said, "That's more like it, in the entire Holy King City, only I can save you." Long Fei said indifferently, "What are the conditions?" He was very direct, and didn't want to be long-winded. Elder Liu stared at the space ring on Long Fei's finger, and said, "I want everything inside your space ring." Long Fei frowned. Elder Liu saw that Long Fei's face changed slightly, and immediately said, "If you don't have anything to forge, you can continue to buy, but if my life is gone, then everything is gone." Long Fei chuckled, and said, "You're right. Life only has one, you should treasure it well." Elder Liu thought Long Fei had communicated with him, and laughed, "You're right." However, before he could finish speaking, Long Fei's expression suddenly darkened, and she said coldly, "You sell the evil spirit pellet, once consumed, it will turn into a beast and become a killing machine, making people hear your rats, you can die for your crime. You are greedy beyond measure, too high-quality holy artifact can't satisfy you, and you still want more holy artifact, die for your crimes. You can die for insulting me." Everyone was stunned. They were a little confused as to what Long Fei was saying. Elder Liu had a teasing look on his face as he sneered, "Kid, do you know who you are talking to? I'll give you one last chance. I want you to kneel on the ground now and pass your space ring to me with both hands, if not." Long Fei said with a faint voice, "Otherwise, what do you think?" Elder Liu said, "Otherwise, you will die here." Death hadn't finished. Long Fei's fingertip lightly throbbed. Bam! A stream of blood spurted out from Elder Liu's forehead. A small hole appeared on his forehead, with only a finger or so. Elder Liu stood on the spot with bulging eyes. However, he could not say a word. It had already been seconds. Moreover, he didn't even know how he died. No one knew, they only saw Long Fei's fingertip move slightly, and then. There was no then. The surroundings of the Saint Ruler Pavilion immediately became quiet. All eyes were focused on Long Fei. Lei Hang's mouth was agape, he looked at Elder Liu in shock and touched him lightly. Bam! Elder Liu fell to the ground and crashed onto the floor, his body still for a moment. "Dead! Dead!" Lei Hang shouted out in shock. His two eyes looked at Long Fei, who had already turned around and looked at his back, as if he was looking at death. That kind of pressure was unprecedented, but he was, after all, the person in charge of the safety of the auction. Now that the elder was dead in front of him, he had to do something. Lei Hang gathered his courage and shouted, "Stand, stand, stop." Long Fei did not stop and continued walking slowly. The few disciples of Holy King sect did not understand how Elder Liu died, but they did not believe that it was Long Fei who killed him. Seeing that Long Fei did not stop, they bellowed, "The elder told you to stand, did you not hear him? You dog. You don't care about giving me face, right? You're courting death." The three of them attacked at the same time, aiming for the back of Long Fei's head. The cultivation levels of the three weren't low as they simultaneously launched sneak attacks. No one would leave their back empty. In such a situation, it was actually very dangerous. However, the three of them rushed to Long Fei's back. Bang, bang, bang. 3 muffled explosions sounded out. Then, 3 streams of blood mist flew out, and the 3 of them turned into 3 streams of blood mist. There was nothing left, not even a single bone fragment falling to the ground. What kind of power was this? Who is he? Many people felt their scalps go numb looking at Long Fei. This was too strange. He had no idea what was going on. A few more disciples rushed towards Long Fei, summoning all kinds of immortal martial techniques, using their most powerful killing techniques and attacking Long Fei. It was the same. Before they could even touch Long Fei, their bodies had already turned into a bloody mist with a few peng, peng sounds. At this moment, as Long Fei walked on the main street, the people on both sides of the street quickly retreated, not daring to come close at all. He was like a god of death walking in the world. Just a glance was enough to make the other party use their soul flying. "You're not allowed to leave." Lei Yihang let out a loud sound as he looked at the disciples who rushed up to him one by one, and then turned them all into a bloody mist one after another. Long Fei's strength had far exceeded his expectations. So strong that it was unimaginable. Long Fei didn't pay attention to all of them, and he didn't dare to step forward either. Finally, Long Fei walked in front of Sima Tian. At this moment, the members of the Sima family also quickly retreated, not daring to look Long Fei in the eye. Sima Tian's Adam's apple rolled and trembled non-stop. Sensing the aura on Long Fei's body, he was immediately scared to the point of peeing, his pants dripping with urine. He now knew what kind of person he had offended. Seeing one person after another charge towards Long Fei and become a bloody mist, he no longer wanted to seek revenge. All he wanted to do now was to leave this place. Long Fei, who was standing by his side, lightly paused, and said with a faint voice, "You don't even have the qualifications to die at my hands, understand?" Finished. Long Fei walked out with large strides. Only after Long Fei had walked 10 meters away, did Sima Tian finally kneel on the ground with a thump. His expression suddenly became incomparably pale as he broke out in cold sweat, and he was completely unable to get up. The Sima clan chief looked at Long Fei. He really wanted to rush up to him, but in that instant, his mind seemed to have been ruthlessly stepped on, rendering him completely unable to move. At this moment, on top of the Saint Ruler Pavilion, a disciple shot out a rocket. Boom! The rocket launcher rose into the air and exploded. Holy King Sect. Sect Master, Holy King City has sent a distress signal, the highest level distress signal. Holy King's Hall. Holy King's Hall. The current sect master, Zhu Chenggang, sat on his high seat as he listened to the various reports. "I have already spread the news of the 13th dragon ancestor hanging at the entrance of the shrine to the 3 continents, 8 counties, 19 clans, and all the powers within the territory of our Holy King sect. I have asked them to spread the news as soon as possible. It's more or less the same for me. As long as it's a first-rate clan, I've notified them as well. Sect Master, if that kid from Long family is really in our West Peak region, he must already know that the 13th dragon ancestor is on the verge of death. Yeah, I'll bet that kid is definitely not in the West Peak region. Regardless of whether they are here or not, this is something the God's tribe has instructed us to do. Even if they aren't, we have to use all our strength to do so. That's right, God's tribe is determined to deal with that brat Long family this time. If that brat doesn't die, God's tribe will definitely not let him go. I heard that that brat is the reincarnation of some powerful powerhouse from ancient world, and he has fought with Emperor Xian more than one time. It's just that every time he lost, the Emperor Xian would crush him. It's definitely the same at one time. We can't win against the God's tribe, but we can't win against him. A fly flying around in front of you is also very annoying. In the eyes of the God's tribe, Long Fei was just a fly. He wanted to grind Long Fei's bones to dust. The 13th dragon ancestor hung out at the entrance of the shrine and blood flowed out like a river. They wanted Long Fei to come and fight with them, and they wanted everyone to see the outcome of their fight with the God's tribe. Zhu Chenggang said indifferently, "We will do our best to complete the God's tribe's orders. During this period of time, let go of what you have on hand, hurry up and spread the news of the 13th dragon ancestor's impending death." The elders nodded their heads. Zhu Chenggang turned his head to the side, and said, "Junior brother, how is your medicine making progress? I have already recommended you to an elder of the God's tribe. If you are able to successfully create the pill this time, then it would be much easier to obtain the qualifications to enter the descendant of God's tribe. Taoist Master Liu's eyes tightened as a light flashed in them. His eyes were filled with desire as he said, "My disciple has already been sent to test the medicinal properties of the pills. I believe there will be results today. If my expectations are met." The corner of his mouth slightly rose as he smiled excitedly. "Then, my evil beast pill can?" The research was a success. Zhu Chenggang replied heavily, "All right. Right now, all of the sects in Universal Realm are competing in secret. If 2 of us from the Holy King sect are able to enter the shrine, then we, the Holy King sect, will have the absolute authority to speak. Junior brother, don't let me down." Taoist Master Liu said, "Don't worry, senior brother, we will definitely not fail again." At this moment, a disciple hurriedly entered the hall and reporting to sect leader, Holy King City has sent a distress signal. Huh? Zhu Chenggang was startled. Rescue signal? The disciple continued, "It's the highest level of distress signal." What? Everyone in the hall was shocked. What did the highest distress signal mean? This meant that the danger must be solved by the sect master himself. "The earth on your head. You must be tired of living. Holy King City." Someone dared to make a move on the people of Holy King sect. He really has the gall to eat leopards. Could it have been a mistake? For the highest level signal, could it be that a sovereign realm powerhouse has come? Could it be the people from the Heavenly Abyss sect came to cause trouble? Heavenly Abyss sect. Even if their sect master was given 10 times the guts, he still wouldn't dare. The crowd broke out into a flurry of discussion. Taoist Master Liu had been silent the entire time, thinking about the powers within Holy King City. He did not believe that someone from the Heavenly Abyss sect would come and cause trouble, nor did he believe that someone would dare to lay a hand on someone from Holy King sect. A light flashed in his mind. Suddenly, Taoist Master Liu said with a heavy voice, "Success." The entire palace went silent. Zhu Chenggang asked, "What did you succeed?" Taoist Master Liu said with incomparable excitement, "I studied the evil beast pill. 1 pellet swallowed would cause a beast to turn berserk, and its power would increase by 10 times. Under this kind of situation, who can resist?" Ha ha ha. That must be it. It must have been a success. The Taoist Master Liu became even more excited. He now absolutely believed that he had succeeded in his research. If they did not succeed, there would be no disturbance, and there would not be the highest level of distress signal. In the West Peak region, who didn't know that the Holy King sect was a subordinate of the God's tribe? Who dares to move? Even if he was not afraid of Holy King sect, could it be that he was not afraid of God's tribe? Hearing him say that, Zhu Chenggang also smiled faintly, and said, "Junior brother, then I must congratulate you. As long as you give this pill to God's tribe, you will definitely get a lot of rewards, and at that time, you can also become a member of Shrine." Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The 2 of them laughed. After which, all the elders in the hall began to laugh. Only the disciple who reported it stood there with a stupefied expression. The highest level distress signal, this was definitely a crisis, but everyone was laughing. Was this something to be happy about? After a long time, that disciple asked weakly, "Sect master, then should we send someone to rescue him?" Zhu Chenggang said, "Go, of course I will go. The highest level distress signal. According to the sect's rules, I have to go as well. Everyone here has to go and take a look. Of course. We're not here to save him. We're here to watch a show. Today, we must see the results of Junior Brother's pill." Taoist Master Liu stood up and said, "I will definitely not disappoint this senior brother. Let's go. Go to Holy King City." All of the clan elders followed sect master Zhu Chenggang out of the sect and headed towards the Holy King City. This was a good show. Zhu Chenggang calculated in his heart. Once his junior brother enters the shrine, his position in the Holy King sect will be even more stable. However, all of this depended on the results of this medicinal pill. Holy King City. Long Fei walked leisurely, and his eyes revealed a slight disappointment, because the pills in this world were simply too terrible. Just pills, and not just that, they were also a type of evil pill, which made him even more disappointed. Sigh. Forget it. Let's not waste any more time. I need to find my original body as soon as possible. I don't know what's going on, but I clearly sensed that my real face was still alive, so why didn't he respond? What happened in this period of time? Long Fei pondered as he walked. Could it be that my real face has already entered the ancient world? The distance is too far, so he can't sense my position. Should I enter the ancient world first? He was extremely depressed in his heart. He had been out for several days now, and continuously sent messages to the real face, but there was no response. Suddenly, behind him, the Sima family's chief said in a low voice, "Kid, you can't escape." In the beginning, the Sima clan did not even dare to look at Long Fei. Now it suddenly exploded. "You want to die?" "No, that's not it." The Sima family's patriarch knew the level of the distress signal he had sent out. He had been holding back and knew that there was a black mass flying over from the Saint Ruler Mountain. He let out a long breath and grinned. "Brat, you won't be able to leave today." Holy King sect of the Holy King sect had come. After killing so many people from the Holy King sect, Long Fei simply could not escape. However, Clan Chief Sima's words were loud, but they were useless. Long Fei simply ignored him. Because, in his world, these people did not even exist. There was no need to exist. He completely ignored them. Lei Hang also saw the pitch-black sky and saw the sect master from afar. His eyes also shone brightly as he said solemnly, "Brat, stop right there. After killing so many people from the Holy King sect, you won't be able to go anywhere today." He started to admire Long Fei. However, he cared more about himself. He was initially very afraid, but now that the sect head was here, there was no need to worry. Because Ancestor Zhu Chenggang was the #1 powerhouse of the West Peak region, the supreme powerhouse of the sovereign realm. There were very few powerhouse that could compete with Jizun in her realm. No matter how powerful Long Fei was, he was no match for her. However, Long Fei still did not stop, and continued walking forward silently. Boom! A sonic boom resounded. Zhu Chenggang was the first to fall down. Taoist Master Liu was the second to land on the ground. Looking at his surroundings, he expected something was different. He should have been thinking of a scene of corpses streaking across the fields, buildings collapsing, and ruins everywhere. No, everyone here was fine and unaffected. There wasn't a single beast transformed human. Boom, boom, boom. One by one, the elders fell down. Dozens of elders. The same kind of powerhouse. Seeing this scene, the surrounding commoners were all incomparably shocked. Many people directly kneeled on the ground. It's the sovereign. It's the sect master of the Holy King sect, the legendary sovereign realm powerhouse, the #1 powerhouse of the West Peak region. Wow, so cool. There's also the #1 alchemy master and Taoist Master Liu. All of them have appeared. This is too amazing, isn't it? My God, I have never seen so many powerhouses in my life. Right now, that kid is in trouble. I'm afraid he will die miserably. It's definitely hard to escape death. Offending anyone isn't good, but he has to offend the Holy King sect. He doesn't want to live. The crowd started to discuss. As for the appearance of Zhu Chenggang, everyone was stunned. The Sima family's head was incomparably shocked. Taoist Master Liu's gaze swept across his heart and secretly shivered. He then immediately asked Lei Hang, "What's going on? What about Liu Dong?" Zhu Chenggang could not help but ask, "That's right, where is Elder Liu? Why is there no one here? And why didn't he have a single disciple from the Holy King sect? Where is he?" Lei Hang immediately knelt to the ground with a plop, and said, "Sect Master, Elder Liu, he is dead." "What?" Zhu Chengang's gaze tightened. "Dead? Who did it?" Without waiting for Lei Hang to speak, the chief of the Sima family quickly walked over and also knelt down. "Lord Sect Master, it's him." He pointed at Long Fei, who was silently walking forward. As for the things that happened behind the scenes, it was still the same. He completely ignored them. Zhu Chenggang followed his finger and looked over, saw Long Fei slowly walking forward, and said, "Him?" His aura trembled slightly. It could be said that not to mention this place, even if there were tens of millions of citizens in the entire Holy King City, the auras being emitted by the warriors would not be able to escape his senses. Moreover, he could even sense the cultivation level of this person at the first moment. The cultivation realm of Long Fei. Very strange. Nothing. How strange. Zhu Chenggang asked, "Is Lei Yihang him?" Lei Yihang nodded, and said, "Sect Master, that's him. Elder Liu died by his hands, and so did all the surrounding disciples." He could not believe what the Sima clan chief said, but he had no choice but to believe what Lei Yihang said. An elder asked, "So many people died, where are the bodies? Why is there not a single corpse?" Lei Yihang said, "His methods are extremely sinister, turning everyone into a blood mist. Look at the thin layer of blood on the ground, these are all left behind by Elder Liu and the others." What? How preposterous. Several elders were already infuriated. Taoist Master Liu asked, "Did he take the spirit pellet I refined?" Lei Yihang replied, reporting to Vice Sect Master, "Elder Liu gave him the pill you refined, he consumed it on the spot, but..." Taoist Master Liu's gaze tensed up, and said, "But what?" Lei Yihang said, He said that the pills you refined were a complete mess, they would only harm people, and it was also because of this that Elder Liu was killed. He had concealed the matter of the high-level holy artifact. Now, other than him, no one knew that Long Fei had a top-grade holy artifact. If Long Fei died and he could obtain that space ring, perhaps he would be able to enter the God's Tribe Palace before the Taoist Master Liu. A person's desire is limitless, even in this kind of situation, they still have to think about themselves. Hope ignited in Taoist Master Liu's eyes once again. He looked at the sovereign and said, "Senior brother, he might have mutated." Zhu Chenggang asked, "What do you mean?" The Taoist Master Liu replied, "This kind of beast transformation pill is currently unstable. Even though he hasn't turned into a beast, the aura on his body is very special. It's definitely related to the pill that I refined." Zhu Chenggang asked, "Then what do we do now?" Taoist Master Liu said, "Catch him first, I want to study him. I want to know what kind of reaction my pills will have." Zhu Chenggang replied, "Got it. Capture him for me." After which, the two elders walked out. Lei Yihang immediately said, "Sect Master, this person is very powerful, I must." Not waiting for him to finish. The two elders immediately laughed mockingly. "Lei Yihang, you must be scared silly, right? What a useless thing." After finishing their sentence, the two of them rushed forward like they were flying. As they chased, they said, "Little bastard, you want to leave after killing my Holy King Sect's people? Then you really do not place the Holy King Sect in your eyes." Boom, boom, boom. With the release of the Supreme Force, a powerful aura formed, an intimidating aura that pressed down on him, layer by layer. However, it was completely useless. The aura seemed to have vanished into thin air, with no reaction at all. The two elders looked at each other, their eyes darkened, and their hands reached towards the back of Long Fei's head. Buzz. Catcher, catcher. A series of bone-cracking sounds could be heard. The two elders were sent flying and smashed into the ground. Bang, bang. He vomited blood and lay on the ground, unable to get up. He didn't do anything. He didn't even stop to listen. He didn't do anything. He didn't even stop to listen. The two gods' holy state powerhouses were crippled. Everyone turned to look at Long Fei. At this moment, Long Fei's indifferent expression, full of contempt, was like that of a cow trying to stand on its head. To be able to act cool without making a sound, that was the highest realm of posturing. How preposterous. Rumble. An elder's energy burst out like it was on fire. His body bounced up from the ground and then heavily rushed out. Boom. It directly landed on Long Fei's head. His right hand moved. A huge cold blade appeared in his hand. The cold blade flashed. The 10,000-strong blade images covered the sky and covered the earth, fiercely slashing down towards the top of Long Fei's head. "I want to see if you'll die or not." Hualala. The cold blade pierced through the void, and the ear-piercing sound of space ripping apart rang in the air. Everyone was crushed by this powerful blade chi to the point that their hearts and minds trembled. Now that kid is dead. Saber Elder, the pavilion master of the Holy King sect's martial pavilion, who can resist his saber? The cultivation level of the Overlord realm, the blade technique of the War God stage. If the two types of power are combined, that brat is definitely going to die. Let's see how he can continue acting cool. Let's see how he can still act so arrogantly then. Many people were secretly delighted when they saw the cold blade fall. The Holy King City were all members of the Holy King sect. Long Fei acted so arrogantly in the Holy King City and he wants to leave. This was too much. No one liked being in a shameful place. Therefore, they were all looking forward to Long Fei's death. Boom, boom, boom. A series of explosions rang out in the shattered void as he used both hands to wield his saber and slashed down. Buzz. A blade slashed down on Long Fei's head. It did not fall. Long Fei was still walking forward step by step, and was not affected at all. The blade was stuck in the center of the blade like a strength stripes, unable to advance any further. Not only that. The knife was cracking. Creak, creak. Cracks continued to appear. It lasted less than 3 seconds. Hualala. The huge frost blade shattered. It did not shatter, but turned into powder. What kind of power was this? Zhu Chunggang's eyes tensed up. Elder Dao's eyes were filled with rage. His eyeballs seemed as if they were going to pop out at any moment. Both of his fists trembled. Boom. Boom. The overlord power on his fist surged. Staring at Long Fei's back, he felt as if he had received a huge insult, and roared out. Bang! With a single step, the ground ruptured and he immediately rushed behind Long Fei, saying solemnly, "Die." At this moment, Long Fei suddenly stopped and gently exhaled, truly annoying. He turned around slightly. He raised his eyes and looked at the Blade Elder, then looked at Zhu Chenggang who was not far away. In an instant, Shua. He opened up his 5 fingers and moved. It directly landed in front of Zhu Chenggang. Long Fei looked at Zhu Chenggang coldly and said, "Don't provoke me, I don't like killing people." As soon as he finished, a body fell down from the sky. It was the Saber Elder. His fist fell down, and then, he had no idea what was going on. When he opened his eyes, he was already in midair. Long Fei gently raised his right leg, which was like a fixed ball, and instantly got Elder Dao to step on it. Bam! His head shattered and fresh blood spurted out. The ground shook instantly as well. Long Fei stared into Zhu Chunggang's eyes again, and said indifferently, "Do you understand? An incomparably powerful force. It was incomparably savage. This kind of arrogance was not arrogance, but a kind of arrogance filled with contempt, as if Long Fei was a god and they were humans. They were completely different worlds. It was a completely different kind of power. Complete domination." Zhu Chunggang's mind trembled a little, as if he couldn't bear the formless aura emitted from Long Fei's body. Gudong. He heavily swallowed his saliva. His mind was frantically thinking, who was Long Fei, and where did he come from? Universal Realm did not have such a ferocious person. Could it be someone from God's tribe? That's not right. The people of God's tribe would definitely not be as low-key as him. If they were the people of God's tribe, he would have made all of them kneel on the ground a long time ago. Who could it be? The powerhouse that came from the ancient world? Impossible. All of the powerhouses that came out were currently in the shrine. Zhu Chenggang calmed himself down and asked, "Can I know your name?" He asked very carefully. If it was a god's tribe, or a powerhouse that came from an ancient world, then he could not afford to offend them. Long Fei said, "If you know my name, you won't provoke me anymore." Zhu Chenggang replied, "No." Long Fei said, "Long Fei." It wasn't loud, but the 2 words Long Fei were like a thunder from a clear sky, and instantly exploded in the air above Holy King City. In that instant, everyone's eyes suddenly opened wide, staring straight at Long Fei. It was as if Long Fei was their archenemy. Zhu Chunggang's pupils rapidly shrank as he looked at Long Fei with a gaze that was like a ray of light. Taoist Master Liu cried out involuntarily, Dragon Clan's Long Fei? Someone the gods' tribe is waiting for? Did the gods' tribe hang 13 dragon patriarchs at the entrance of the heavenly palace just to lure him over? It's him. It's him. He is Long Fei. He is the person God's tribe wants to kill. It's him. The 13th dragon ancestor hung at the entrance of the shrine, waiting for him to appear? That's him. The news about the 13th dragon ancestor had already spread throughout the Holy King City, but they did not expect Long Fei to appear in front of them. This caused them to be incomparably shocked. Long Fei was also startled, his eyes secretly tensed up, and asked, "You said 13th dragon ancestor? What happened to them?" He was not unfamiliar with the 13th dragon ancestor. Thus, hearing that the 13th dragon ancestor was hung at the entrance of the shrine, Long Fei's heart secretly tensed up. At this moment, a murderous aura rose in the air. Taoist Master Liu said solemnly, "You still don't know? The 13th dragon ancestor have already been hanging in front of the shrine's gate for 3 days, and their blood is almost flowing out. The people from the gods' tribe have long sent word out for you to appear." Long Fei slightly narrowed his eyes. "God's tribe, shrine?" The Taoist Master Liu sneered and said, "Scared?" It was also at this time. A few elders surrounded Long Fei, their eyes filled with viciousness. Everyone knew that Long Fei was Universal Realm's #1 wanted criminal. If they could catch him, they would receive the gods' tribe's highest reward. To them, Long Fei was Universal Realm's #1 boss. Who wouldn't want his head? Long Fei looked at the Taoist Master Liu and asked, "Why do you know about this?" The Taoist Master Liu sneered, and said, "Of course we know. Because we are the forces of the gods' tribe, we naturally know about all of this." Long Fei's eyes moved slightly. "Are you from the gods' tribe's forces?" Taoist Master Liu laughed coldly. "Of course, not only my Holy King sect, even the people in this Holy King City are the same. Right now, the entire Universal Realm belongs to my gods' tribe. Do you think you can still fight against my gods' tribe? You overestimate yourself." "Oh." Long Fei's eyes turned cold. "Are they all from the gods' tribe? Then it's done." In an instant. Suddenly, a surge of power surged out from his body. A stream of purple mist flashed. Boom. It directly covered the entire Holy King City. At this moment. Crash. All the people in the city. All of them. To become. Swish. With a single thought, he slaughtered the entire city. As the purple mist spread out, in an instant, the entire Holy King City was instantly turned into fine powder. As the purple mist spread out, in an instant, the entire Holy King City was instantly turned into fine powder. God's holy state. Overlord Realm's powerhouse is very powerful. A sovereign realm cultivator is the peak powerhouse of the Universal Realm. At this moment, they were crushed like ants, and the moment Long Fei released his power, they didn't even have time to react. Slaughter the city. These 2 words should have been a scene of slaughter, blood and rivers of blood. However, it was completed in just a single thought, and everyone seemed to have suddenly disappeared from this world. The entire world became quiet. It's finally quietened down. I really hate killing people. The killing intent that surged out from Long Fei's heart did not decrease at all. He glanced at the surrounding ground that was covered in a thick layer of powder and said faintly, "If it's the real face, then it would be very refreshing." To suddenly obtain this much experience, he must definitely be able to level up by a few levels. God's tribe. He raised his eyes slightly and looked into the sky. Shrine? 13th dragon ancestor? What happened? His eyes narrowed as he said softly, "Maybe. Dragon ancestor knows the location of the real face. By the way, I want to see how powerful the so-called God's tribe is." In the next moment, Long Fei's figure disappeared. He disappeared on the spot with a strong killing intent. The Southern Sea region. Senior brother, what's wrong? Boss, what's going on? In Seal. Long Fei's pupils turned purple, and the killing intent from his body surged like a raging sea. It surged crazily as it roared and stirred up huge waves, as if it wanted to swallow everything in its path. Killing intent. An unusually strong killing intent. Long Fei couldn't even control his own killing intent. He didn't even know what was going on. Suddenly, endless killing intent surged out from his body. It was as if the heavens were going to be destroyed. The center of young Taoist's brows tightened and both hands undid the seal. The immortal Taoist scriptures' energy wrapped around Long Fei, wanting to use this method to calm him down. But, catcher! Bing! When the defensive wall released by the immortal Taoist scriptures touched the killing intent released from Long Fei's body, it actually could not endure it and started to crack, and in the end, it directly shattered with a bung sound. Young Taoist immediately retreated, his expression changing greatly. Senior brother, the Savage King said, his pupils have turned purple. Could it be that he has gone berserk? Recently, the boss's behavior has been too weird. It's like two different people suddenly acting like this and suddenly acting like that. I'm really a bit confused now. Young Taoist was also very anxious. It is indeed strange, but from the looks of it, he did not have Qigong deviation. His purple pupils should have been transformed from cultivating some kind of power, however. His cultivation is clearly at the lowest level in this world, and is basically unable to cultivate such a profound cultivation technique. Unless one was born with it, cultivating it required the support of spiritual energy. Long Fei was only at the first level, and his spiritual energy was only at 100. It was impossible for him to cultivate such a powerful technique, which was something the two of them could not understand. Could it be a variation of the power of eternity? Young Taoist's eyes darkened. Let me try again. Buzz. The golden runes on its body flew out, forming a thick protective wall around Long Fei. However, at this moment, Long Fei's purple eyes moved. Rumble. The entire defensive wall shattered. But Long Fei did not attack the young Taoist, he only stood at his original position, and his killing intent continued to wreak havoc in the seal. Buzz. It was also at this time. 19 demons from the seal area woke up. Sensing the aura on Long Fei's body, they knew about Long Fei's identity and revealed their most primitive savagery. Dragon Clan's head dragon? Ha ha ha. Go to hell. Bam. A demon charged towards Long Fei like a ball of black fog. Long Fei raised his eyes. Shua. His purple eyes moved and instantly destroyed everything. His body was pierced. Both of them were extremely fast, but Long Fei had instantly pierced through his body, causing the demon's body to stop. Catcher. His shriveled body split into two and fell to the ground. Holy T. The Savage King exclaimed in astonishment, what a wild strength. Young Taoist, when did boss become so strong? With regards to the special power that burst out from Long Fei's body, he felt that Long Fei was no longer the Long Fei of the past, but instead, seemed to have become different. The young Taoist said worriedly, could it be that the power of eternity has really mutated? They didn't understand. Last time in the seal, they were the ones who killed all the demons, but today, the two of them only watched from the sidelines. They didn't even have the chance to fight. Hualala. Long Fei caught a demon and tore him into two. This power. This savage. Too fierce. The two of them were dumbfounded. Young Taoist looked at the dragon sword floating in the air and could not help but ask, was he this fierce before? The dragon sword also had a stupefied face as she said, we have never met before. Ah! Long Fei glared, the killing intent around him surging out. Those demons were directly crushed to the ground and could not even raise their heads. Let's destroy our seal. I still want to be seal. This is too damn scary. Can you not be like this? I'm willing to be trapped in the seal for another 10 trillion years. Right now, they did not want to take revenge, nor did they want to escape. It was as if they had been left in the seal. They realized that this world was too dangerous. But Long Fei did not give them a chance. It took care of them all in a matter of seconds. Moreover, every single demon was in an incomparably miserable state. They were either torn into two pieces, or their heads were twisted off, and their corpses were broken into 7 or 8 pieces. Each was more miserable than the other. After venting, Long Fei's pupils returned to normal. It was as if his entire body had collapsed from exhaustion. He plopped to the ground, panting heavily. Hoo 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 hoo. It was as if his spiritual energy had been completely drained. Looking at the corpses of the demons, he was stunned. How did these demons die? Young Taoist and Kwong Wang looked at Long Fei. Kwong Wang stared at the corpses of the demons and whispered, "In the past, I always thought that boss would need protection, but now, I feel that we should be the ones protecting him." Young Taoist also agreed. "I think so too." Long Fei looked at the gazes of the two of them and said, "Could it be that I killed them?" Young Taoist walked forward and said, "Boss, did you cultivate some kind of evil technique?" Your eyes turned purple. Purple? Long Fei's face was full of suspicion. How come I don't remember anything at all? I felt a killing intent that I could not control suddenly surge out from my body. After that, the killing intent exploded out, but I could not remember it. Is there someone else in my body? Long Fei did not understand him. Long Fei did not understand him. During this period of time, he would have hallucinations from time to time, and the thoughts of another person would appear. This person seemed to be looking for something, and his mind was constantly receiving all kinds of strange information. If it weren't for the strengthening of his body, he definitely would have been split apart by now. He couldn't control his killing intent at all. What was the reason? Long Fei was still unable to find an answer. With his memories sealed by the seal, he did not even remember that he had a clone. Even if he did, he had no idea what his clone had become. Because, ever since he ordered his clone to hide away, he only focused on cultivation. After so many years, how much has he cultivated? No one knew. However, Long Fei realized that his variant heart was a little worried. This was not the power of the system, it was a kind of power within his body. System girl, did you notice anything when you strengthened my body? Is there some kind of power in my body that has yet to be developed? This kind of power, will it make me unable to control it? Long Fei asked anxiously. But the girl did not respond. She was still lying quietly in her sleep. Long Fei was a little depressed. You haven't woken up even after sleeping for so long. Could the system be a pig? The system could not give an explanation, but Long Fei could not understand, and there was no one beside him to give an explanation. This kind of feeling was really irritating. Perhaps. My memories. Yes, it definitely has something to do with the seal. Damned Emperor Xian. Long Fei's eyes turned sinister. At this moment. Boom. A dragon's sword flew out from the seal and floated beside Long Fei, respectfully saying, "Master." The dragon sword replied excitedly, "Sea dragon sword." Long Fei waved his hand and said, "Go back to your original position. You don't need to guard this place anymore in the future." Sea dragon sword said, "Thank you, Master." The primordial 9 realms, 9 sealess, and at the same time, 9 dragon sword. There were already 8 of them. Dragon sword, ice dragon sword, fire dragon sword, earth dragon sword, metal dragon sword, wood dragon sword, poisonous dragon sword, sea dragon sword. The 9 dragon sword were all gathered up. If all 9 swords were gathered together, they would be able to restore and recreate the divine dragon body. This was something that Long Fei had promised them. Since the sea dragon sword has returned, then there's only one realm left. Long Fei looked up into the sky. The Wild King immediately became excited and asked, "Are you going to the God's tribe?" Long Fei nodded his head and said, "Ien, it is time. Originally, I should have gone back to the God's design attic, and only wanted to raise all 9 of the swords before making a move on the God's tribe, and now it is time." Ha ha ha. My axe is unable to endure the thirst, young Taoist said. Senior brother, your situation. Shall we wait? He was worried that Long Fei would once again fall into a state where he could no longer control himself, which would be extremely dangerous for him. Long Fei said, "Don't worry, there are times when I cannot control myself, but I can tell who is friend and who is the enemy." He couldn't control the power, but he could tell who the enemy was. Moreover, he had to go to the God's tribe, he had to figure out what kind of power was affecting him. He had to remove the seal from his memory. If he wanted to remove the seal, he had to kill the Emperor Xian. The Savage King said, "That's right. With the two of us here, no matter what happens, we can still stop our boss. Our strength isn't what it is now, you know." They were the outer space powerhouse. The power they displayed in the universal realm was in accordance with the laws of this world. Their power can surpass the laws of this world. However, now they did not do so. When Long Fei had really reached such a dangerous point, they would definitely protect Long Fei. Long Fei smiled. He had complete trust in the abilities of the two bodyguards. Then, Long Fei looked at the 8-dragon sword and said lightly, "All right, before long, I will let you guys regain possession of the dragon god and travel around the 4 seas." With a sweep of his sleeve, he sucked them into the space ring. Dragon sword, right now, I'm only lacking divine dragon sword. Everyone, are you ready? All the dragon sword said in unison, "I'm ready." From the moment I turned into a dragon sword and guarded here, I had been waiting for this day to come. Ha ha ha. Me too. Master has reincarnated. His current body is only the body of an ordinary person, the dragon soul, spirit soul and body of our 9 great holy dragon emperor, when the time comes. Recast on Master's body. His master is the #1 dragon of all time, surpassing heaven and earth and surpassing history. No one can stop him. All the dragon sword said excitedly. They were not simply transforming into dragon sword to guard the demons. They still had a mission. Tens of millions of years, they hadn't forgotten their mission. They did not forget their human mission. Help Master recreate the ancient dragon body, the dragon sword said. There is still one more problem. Sea Dragon Sword asked, "Dragon blood?" The dragon sword said, "That's right, if you want to help Master rebuild the ancient dragon body, then you must have the dragon blood as a guide, and the rank of the dragon blood cannot be too low. I was the first to leave the seal, so I have some understanding of this world. The dragon race is currently being suppressed by the gods tribe, and there isn't a single dragon in the universal realm. Furthermore, the gods tribe controls the passage to the ancient world." Bing Jian said, "Even if we entered the ancient world, it would still be very difficult to find dragon blood. Moreover, after such a long time, there aren't many dragons that still have pure dragon blood on their bodies." The golden dragon sword asked, "Then what do we do?" The crowd of swords fell silent. The reforging of the ancient dragon body required dragon blood as a guide, and it wasn't even just ordinary dragon blood. It had to be pure dragon blood for it to be activated. But the current dragon race. After trillions of years, the dragon tribe had gone from thriving to declining, and now they were in a withered state. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been trampled on by the gods' tribe. After a long time, the dragon sword said solemnly, "We have to believe in Master. Everything is destined, and Master actually arranged it like this, then he definitely has his own plans." The fire dragon sword said, "But, after all, in the past, even if Master could predict everything, he would not be able to. Prophecy was an ability of the dragon race. However, prophecy of what would happen in 1,000,000,000,000 years. It was impossible." The dragon sword said, "What we need to do is to trust Master." The crowd of swords sunk. "Believe in Master. It's already been 6 days, is there still no news of Long Fei, God's tribe, shrine?" A few of the great clan elders of God's tribe began to discuss with each other. The blood essence of the 13th dragon ancestor is almost dried up. If it still does not appear, then this ancient 13th dragon ancestor is going to die. 13 dragon patriarchs hung from the sky above the mountain, looking like 13 huge black pillars. 13 dragon patriarchs hung from the sky above the mountain, looking like 13 huge black pillars. Dragon blood constantly dripped down their bodies. In a valley at the top of the mountain, the blood essence of the 13 dragon ancestral dragons had already gathered into a lake. Blood rippled through the water, and the entire forest turned blood red. The scene was extremely spectacular. Countless powerhouse rushed to their natural peak to watch this spectacular scene. So this is the dragon ancestor? Wow, isn't this a bit too domineering? Their bodies are simply too large. They are tens of thousands of meters long, and can't even be seen from a single glance. So what if he is domineering? So what if his body was big? Wasn't he crushed like a dog by the god's tribe? Look at the current dragon tribe. Is there even a dragon clan disciple in the entire universal realm? Look at the ancient world's dragon clan. Their own dragon ancestors have already been crushed to this state. They don't even dare to let out a fart. They are really cowards, useless are. Ha ha ha. Who said God's tribe was strong? This was the world that was going on. No matter what kind of ancient clan you were still a prey to the strong. They're just like dregs. I heard that the 13th dragon ancestor was given to you by Long Wushan. Long Wushan is most likely the dragon clan's most useless clan chief. It's been 6 days. Do you think Long Fei will come? Come. You are joking. Facing the god's tribe, he really wants to escape right now, yet he dares to come? Come and die. That's right, even a 3-year-old knew that a 13th dragon ancestor was hung at the entrance of shrine. How could he not know that it has not appeared for such a long time? When fighting with the god's tribe, there is only one ending, and that is death. I bet that kid won't dare to come. At the peak of the mountain, discussions were rife. Even a fool would know that this was a trap set up by the god's tribe. In everyone's eyes, Long Fei definitely did not dare to appear. Amongst the crowd, Xiao Bai raised his head and looked into the sky. He clenched his teeth until they creaked loudly and his fists clenched tightly, the aura on his body burning like flames. Looking at the 13th dragon ancestor hanging in the sky, fresh blood continuously flowed down. It was the same with the ice and fire at the side. If not for Elder Swordsman catching them, the two of them would have already flown up to the Sky Palace. Elder Swordsman lowered his voice and said, "The two of you, calm your anger, and don't be exposed." Xiao Bai really could not hold back her tears and said, "We should at least do something." Elder Swordsman said, "This is obviously a trap, moreover. Without the god's tribe's permission, none of us will be able to go up. You might seem alright, but there are many taboos under the shrines, such as the guillotine's 9th heaven, the god's tribe's formation in the heavenly region, and many other taboos. Any one of them can take our lives." He had once thought of attacking shrine. One night, he flew to shrine. His only fate was to be instantly crushed. There was nothing to be done. Unless the god's tribe gave her permission, she could not force her way in. Xiao Yaro Xiong also said solemnly, "Elder Swordsman is right, just the guillotine's 9th heaven, no one can break through it." Xiao Bai said, "I remember Boss once broke through, it was just that in the end, Emperor Xian made a move and knocked him back." Xiao Yaro Xiong said, "I know about this matter. That is in the past, and now, the 9 heavens truly possesses the power of the slaying god. The Emperor Xian has strengthened the 9 heavens. However, it's not like there's no other way, my magic space spell." Elder Swordsman said, "Even if there is a way to avoid the guillotine's 9 heavens, and avoid the god's tribe's formation, what about those ancient worlds? It's impossible to dodge. The 13th dragon ancestor can't hold on for long. Even if we put them down now, they won't be able to live. Blood essence is life for dragons, and their blood is almost completely drained. Furthermore, the god's tribe didn't even think of letting them live after hanging them up. This is a trap. We are waiting for Long Fei here. Stop him, don't let him be fooled." The elder swordsman said solemnly. The time to deal with the god's tribe was not ripe yet. Just Long Fei alone was not enough. Ice and Fire said solemnly, "Can't the ancient world's dragon race do something? Is that the 13th dragon ancestor, and we can be bullied by the god's tribe just like that?" Indeed. The dragon race was an extremely respected race, but the 13th dragon ancestor was hung up like this. They were not giving the dragon race any face at all. However, Long Wushan didn't do anything. Not only did he not do it, he had completely suppressed all of the Dragon Clan disciples. Dragon Abyss Black Dragon. Long Wushan quietly floated in the darkness, his 2 golden eyes staring at Long Zhanting, who was pierced by the dragon-locked chain. At this moment, the corner of Long Zhanting's mouth raised as he unceasingly sneered, "Long Wushan, your name is the wrong person. You should call me Dragon Useless, or Dragon Useless." Long Wushan said expressionlessly, "Tell us where your son is. As long as we can get his head, the dragon race would not need to suffer such humiliation." "Where is my son? Ha ha ha. Long Zhanting laughed out loud. The chains on his body were also twitching, the wounds were tearing, and fresh blood was being carried out by the chains, as though he did not feel any pain at all. Long Wushan, why are you so useless? You still want to use my son's head to exchange for the peace of the dragon race? Do you have a brain? Do you think the gods' tribe can let the dragon go after you kill my son? If not for the fact that my son is still alive, do you think the Emperor Xian would not have attacked the dragon clan right now? If my son dies, the dragon race will perish. The corners of Long Wushan's eyes twitched. He suddenly grabbed onto the chain and pulled. Hualala. Huge and thick chains frantically drilled out from Long Zhanting's body like a speeding train. Blood gushed out madly, and that kind of scene looked to be extremely painful. Long Wushan also roared out, if it wasn't for you two, father and son, how could the dragon race have fallen to such a state? I'm useless. I don't have a brain. Do you know how strong the Emperor Xian is? Now that he has entered the void hole, the demons that were previously killed by our ancestors' seal came out one by one. If it wasn't for me, do you think the current dragon tribe would still exist? Long Zhanting, even when the dragon clan turned out like this, they still had to blame that son of yours. Anger raged. If it was possible, Long Wushan wanted to kill Long Zhanting with a single slash. An incomparable pain assaulted his entire body, but Long Zhanting did not even frown, he only laughed coldly. Are you afraid now? Ha ha ha. He is about to complete the Nirvana stage, and when he enters the ancient world, the first person he will kill will be you. Ha ha ha. Long Wushan's voice turned cold, and said, Enter the ancient world? Humph. To him, this is like a dream. At the foot of the mountain, a man in white clothes suddenly appeared out of nowhere and slightly raised his eyes. The next second, his body appeared at the very peak of the mountain. A cool breeze blew and his figure descended. A cool breeze blew and his figure descended. In that instant, a white silhouette landed on the peak of the mountain. The summit of the sky was like a huge viewing platform, and many people gathered there to watch the dragon ancestor. The sudden appearance of the immortal-like man in white did not attract much attention. The man's eyes were slightly cold as he looked up at the 13 dying dragons in the sky. He watched as the blood from his giant dragon continuously flowed down, turning the entire coal into a lake of blood. The scene was shocking. The man clenched his fists. Cluck, cluck, cluck. It was like space splitting apart. It's really the dragon ancestor. The man's gaze became even colder. The rage and killing intent in his heart started to surge, and the aura around him became abnormal due to the flames of rage. Those who could stand here were all powerhouse of the universal realm. The elders, sect masters, and people with cultivations above God's holy state. They felt an extremely strong killing intent, a killing intent that caused his heart to tremble. Many people stopped their discussions, their eyes looking for the source of the killing intent. Murong Xiong lowered his voice and said, Be careful, there's an expert here. Elder Swordsman said with a heavy voice, This killing intent. I have never seen such a strong killing intent. City Lord Mu, did you find his seat? Xiaobai said excitedly, Could it be that boss is here? Icefire asked, Is the boss here yet? Senior Mie said, It is not the aura on Long Fei's body. This kind of killing intent is completely different from normal energy. Killing intent filled the air. It was abnormally intense. Every single person on the peak felt as if a sharp sword was hovering in their minds. With just a slight movement of the sharp sword, they would all die. This feeling was extremely difficult to bear. Some people could not bear it and shouted, Who is it? Who the hell is that aura? What do you want? Do you know where this is? This is the Heaven Mountain, this is the God's tribe's feet. What are you trying to do by releasing such killing intent? Who is it? Some people were acting wildly. None of them wanted to be crushed by this kind of killing intent. They even felt that they were about to die. But Long Fei did not pay any attention to any of these voices. His eyes continued to stare at the sky, and a hint of purple flashed in his eyes. The change in his gaze immediately attracted the attention of the surrounding people. Look at his eyes. Purple eyes. He's an alien. Are you cultivating a demonic art? Many people began to notice the white-robed Long Fei. Murong Xiong and the others had also noticed it. Senior Mier immediately looked at Tang Long and asked, "Is he a devil?" Tang Long stared intently at Long Fei and shook his head. Senior Mier asked curiously, "Not a demon?" Logically speaking, only Magic Tribe has purple pupils. He is not a demon. Could he be cultivating some kind of evil technique? Tang Long replied, "I don't know, I can't sense it." If Long Fei was not a demon, Senior Mier would not have thought much of it, but Tang Long's words caused him to tremble violently. What kind of existence was the Tang clan? He was born with an extraordinary reaction towards demonic cultivators. Let alone the demons of the universal realm, even if it was the devils that came from the ancient world, he would still be able to sense them at the first moment. But now he actually said that he couldn't feel it. Beyond the range of perception. Infinite strong. Even so, he should still be able to sense it. His words caused everyone to be secretly shocked. Murong Xiong said, "Everyone be careful, I suspect that his killing intent was released from his body." Xiao Bai looked at Long Fei and asked, "What background does he have?" Long Fei's clone was very secretive. No one knew that he had another clone, and even more so, no one knew that this clone had been cultivated to such a superb level. Even Long Fei himself didn't know about it, let alone Xiao Bai and Bing Hua. "Kid, which sect are you from?" A brawny man holding a bronze hammer said with a heavy voice. His body was covered with muscles and beneath them was an endless amount of strength. That pair of bronze hammer should weigh at least 10,000 kilograms. With a slight movement, the sound of wind breaking could be heard. Long Fei ignored him. He didn't even look at it. The bronze hammer warrior was annoyed. He glared and bellowed, "I am talking to you, are you deaf?" Long Fei's eyes lowered, looked at the bronze hammer warrior, and said indifferently, "I don't like killing people, so get the hell away from me." With that, he looked up to the sky again and chanted, all kinds of formations, and even one of the 9 heavens. This should be the place that the real faces have been to, right? Guillotine, 9th heaven? He thought about how to break it. However, the bronze hammer warrior looked as if he had been humiliated, and Long Fei's cold expression made him extremely unhappy. A series of explosions sounded. Space itself began to distort. A hammer struck Long Fei, and the sturdy man said, "You are pretending to be strong in front of me? I'd like to see what you have." Hualala. The bronze hammer descended. Buzz. The earth quaked and the mountains shook. An extremely powerful shockwave was sent out. It was as if a halo of light had enveloped his entire being. This strike. Not to mention humans, even a mountain would be smashed apart. However, Long Fei did not even move, and did not even glance at the bronze hammer warrior, who was still indifferently staring at the sky, as if nothing had happened. The bronze hammer floated 1/2 a meter above his head. The energy formed a net, and the heat waves from the lines firmly blocked the bronze hammer. He couldn't smash it down at all. The bronze hammer warrior's eyes darkened. He was extremely shocked in his heart. He knew how much power he had, but to think that his strike could not even touch Long Fei's hair. In his heart, he was instantly enraged as well. Boom. He exerted all of his strength and his entire body flew into the sky. The 2 hammers moved, and his body started spinning. Murong Xiong said in a heavy voice, "Thunder Sect Master, Wang Tong, this guy has inborn divine strength. His pair of war hammers weigh 30,000 kilograms and his cultivation is an overlord peak realm. Even ordinary sovereign realm powerhouse do not dare to fight him." Xiao Bai asked, "Isn't that white-clothed man in danger?" Murong Xiong shook his head. "Wang Tong is already in a rage, I'm afraid." "Ah!" Wang Tong roared. With a roar, it turned into a violent attack. Boom, 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 boom. A hammer strike and a hammer strike struck each other like thunder. A torrential storm of attacks. One hammer strike after another descended upon him ruthlessly. A minute later, the 3,000 hammer blows landed. The scene was extremely violent. The scene on the screen was extremely shocking as well. The surrounding people all looked at Long Fei, wanting to see him make a fool of himself. However, Long Fei hated it when he was in deep thought. He raised his eyes slightly and said lightly, "Is that enough? Can you scram?" Is that enough? Is that enough? Can you get lost now? A few understated sentences. There was not a trace of boredom in his words. Long Fei never thought of acting tough. These words did not mean anything to him, he just wanted Wang Tong to stop disturbing him and let him walk further away. However, these two sentences were definitely not an ordinary act for Wang Tong and the people around him. It was simply looking down on Wang Tong's existence. Wang Tong's eyes were as wide as an ox's, as if someone had greened them. He was infuriated as he roared, "Brat, I don't believe that I can't kill you." "Ah!" he roared. Another hammer heavily struck down. But this strike. Long Fei let out a light breath. There's no end, right? Zhong Xian's finger moved. Boom. His fingertip blocked the gigantic bronze hammer. Finger to bronze hammer? Don't let the hammer smash you to pieces. Damn, aren't you looking down on Wang Tong too much? He's a bit too arrogant. He is Wang Tong, the leader of the Thunderbolt sect. Just watch, his hands are going to be crippled at the very least. The strength of one finger, wanted to contend against a 10,000 Jin bronze hammer? This was a bit too arrogant. However, just as Long Fei's fingertip made contact with the 5,000 kilogram bronze hammer, with a catcher sound, it instantly ruptured, to the point where people couldn't even react properly. The bronze hammer shattered. With a flick of his finger, when he was still half a meter away from Wang Tong, boom, a ray of purple light suddenly appeared on his fingertip. Buzz. Bang. It heavily smashed onto Wang Tong's chest. Ah! Wang Tong screamed out. He was flung into the sky and immediately flew towards the ninth heaven. Ah! Ah! An even more terrifying scream resounded, and in less than a second, it was blasted into ashes by the 9 heavens. The soul flying did not even produce the slightest bit of fine powder fell onto the ground. Long Fei frowned, and said indifferently, "I don't want to kill anyone, I have to force me to do it." The entire peak of the mountain instantly quieted down. Terrifying silence. Everyone looked at Long Fei. It was like looking at a monster. This person was too terrifying. One finger was enough to instantly kill Wang Tong, the Overlord's peak realm. How terrifying was this? For a moment, no one dared to mock him, and they all stayed far away from him. There were even many people who thought that he was someone from the God's tribe, a person from the ancient world. Otherwise, even a sovereign realm cultivator would not be able to easily kill Wang Tong. Murong Xiong's pupils seemed to ignite with flames. Damn, what a fierce man. If he could come with us. Elder Swordsman said, for people like him, whom we do not know, it's best not to interact with him. No one knows his background. Murong Xiong said, logically speaking, there is a record about every single powerhouse in the primordial 9 regions, but I have never heard of such a character. What is his background? Although I don't know his identity, I can guarantee that he definitely isn't someone from the God's tribe. He doesn't have the aura of a God's tribe blood vein on him. Senior Mie said indifferently. Tang Long said, just now, his power contained purple light. I have also never seen this power, and the devil arts also did not contain this kind of aura. They were all trying to guess Long Fei's identity. Xiaobai said slightly, why does he keep looking at the sky? If he is a powerhouse from ancient world, would the gates of the shrine dare to open? He is not some secret sect's powerhouse. Elder Swordsman said, it is indeed strange, he has been staring at the sky the entire time. No one knew him. No one knew what he was going to do. At this moment, Long Fei kept thinking in his heart, seems like the 9th heaven of the guillotine has strengthened. Just a moment ago, it was only 1st heaven, and it already possessed the power of the annihilation laws. Emperor Xian is indeed a Emperor Xian. He's actually able to draw the power of law into it, and it's so powerful at that. On the other side, a forbidden formation. This formation. Long Fei slightly narrowed his eyes. What he saw was completely different from what the people around him saw. He could clearly see the formation. God's tribe formation. It was an extremely complicated formation pattern. It did not have a formation aperture, Nor was there any place that it could be easily broken through. It could be said to be a perfect formation. Not only that. Other than the God's tribe's array formation and the ninth heaven, there were also hidden dangers in the surrounding area. Long Fei's heart secretly tensed up. God's tribe is indeed a God's tribe. He really is quite strong. However, Long Fei's eyes narrowed slightly as a purple light burst out of his eyes. Just as he was about to make his move, his gaze locked onto the ninth heaven of the guillotine. Buzz. The great doors of the shrine opened wide. The two descendant of God's tribes descended. Just like Sky Weapon God's general. Almost instantly, his gaze landed on the peak of the mountain. A disciple's gaze swept across the area as he coldly asked, "Who just entered the ninth level of heaven?" Everyone lowered their heads slightly. With fear. No one said anything. Another descendant of God's tribe said coldly, "Didn't you hear it? Who was the one who just entered the 9 heavens?" An elder said, "It's Wang Tong from the Thunderbolt sect." "It's him. Did he get water in his head?" Descendant of God's tribe laughed in disdain. "I even thought that it was that bastard Long Fei." As soon as he finished. Bam! The descendant of God's tribe who was speaking suddenly flew out. Without any warning. No one could clearly see what had just happened. The other descendant of God's tribe looked dazed for half a minute. Then, he reacted and revealed a sinister expression. "Who is it? Who was that? Do you want to die? If you have the guts, then stand up for me." His entire body seemed to have gone crazy. He roared crazily. The surrounding people also had stupefied looks on their faces. They dare to make a move on descendant of God's tribe. This was courting death. "You won't tell me, right? Let alone the fact that all of you will die." Descendant of God's tribe shouted crazily, like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. He bared his fangs and brandished his claws. He is the God's tribe. He was superior. Even if his cultivation wasn't strong, he could still easily crush these people. Just because he was a God's tribe. Plop. Some people kneeled down, and at this moment, many people followed suit. "My lord, just now, it happened too fast. We couldn't react at all. Yeah, even if we were given 10 guts, we wouldn't dare. Lord, please spare our lives." When the God's tribe showed his might, it meant that they were very clear about the means used by the 9 nations and the God's tribe. Seeing everyone kneel down, the descendant of God's tribe became even more arrogant and said, "You pieces of trash." Just as he finished speaking the word trash. Bam! With a dull sound, the descendant of God's tribe flew out and directly into the sky. Starlight flashed in the sky and he disappeared. The surrounding people looked as if they had seen a ghost, and all of them began to tremble with pale faces. Just now, it was very fast. However, this time, they were able to see it clearly. Because Long Fei was standing at the spot where the descendant of God's tribe had disappeared just now. I hate hearing the word trash the most. I hate hearing the word trash the most. Long Fei coldly snorted. He continued to study the 9 heavens. Just act as if nothing had happened. But the surrounding people all looked as if they had gone mad. All of them knelt on the ground and kowtowed to shrine. "This has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with us. We didn't do it. It's not us." Even if the people from God's tribe were not here, they would still kowtow like grandchildren. Very sad. Very small. This was because their hearts were filled with fear, because they knew how cruel God's tribe's methods were. Now, killed 2 descendant of God's tribes. If the God's tribe were to show their might, even if they did not do anything, they would be implicated. They were incomparably afraid. Murong Xiong laughed bitterly. "How sad, the leaders of the various great sects and are all like slaves, without even the slightest bit of dignity. How laughable, how pathetic. They valued their lives more than anything else." However, they had never thought that while fate was in the hands of others, no matter how important they looked, it would still be useless. Xiao Bai said indifferently, as he thought back to what Long Fei had just said, "It looks like boss also hates the word trash the most. It's a pity. He's not the boss." Murong Xiong walked towards Long Fei. Elder swordsman and the others also walked up. Long Fei did not know Murong Xiong. He only knew about Long Fei's past affairs and did not know about what had happened after he had parted ways with her. Furthermore, he had always been Long Fei's most secretive existence. Xiao Bai, ice and fire, had already transformed into an adult, so he wouldn't be able to recognize him. Thus, when they walked behind him, Long Fei merely moved the corner of his eye slightly, and didn't even turn his head to look at them. Instead, he said coldly, "Stay away from me, I don't like killing people." Murong Xiong said, "Brother, you just killed the people of God's tribe, so before God's tribe finds out, you better escape now, otherwise you won't be able to escape." "Escape?" Long Fei said indifferently. Murong Xiong said, "I know you are very strong, but you don't know how strong the God's tribe is, nor do you know how many powerhouses there are. Hurry up and go, only by surviving will we have the chance to change the world." Murong Xiong didn't want to see the youth in front of him die here. This way one less powerhouse would be able to fight against the God's tribe. Moreover, he knew very well that no matter how strong he was, he wouldn't be able to defeat God's tribe, and he would only be stronger than her. So far, there had been no one who was able to defeat Emperor Xian. There was no other way. Otherwise, his father would have sent him a message long ago. He had been waiting. However, the more he waited, the more hopeless he felt. Even if it was his nephew, Murong Xiong didn't dare hold too much hope. He had only come here hoping to stop Long Fei from cultivating and becoming stronger. He came here to let Long Fei develop in a wretched manner, to let him calm down. Because the God's tribe was too strong, too strong. Long Fei said blandly, "Whether you're strong or not, you have to try. There are some things that you need to never know what's so bad about yourself." And Long Fei raised his head to look at the 13th dragon ancestor hanging in the sky, and then said with a sinister look in his eyes, "Even though there are some things that are very difficult, even if it's impossible to know, you still have to do it. Because I'm a man." Even if he knew he couldn't, he still had to give it a try. Even if he knew that his opponent was very strong, he would still fight head-on. Because this was a man's responsibility. Some things had to be done. He had never thought that he was that strong. Ever since he had left the real face, he had been secretly developing in order to one day return to the real face's side. Right now, he couldn't find the real face. But he could do some things for the real face. 13th dragon ancestor had always been by Long Fei's side to protect Long Fei, and now that they were in trouble, even if they were not his opponents, they had to go up as well. Murong Xiong said, "You are right, but why waste your life?" Long Fei said, "A person must have a fearless heart when living, only then will he be able to live a bit more confidently. You lost your life for nothing. It's impossible to give up your life for nothing." Long Fei walked forward a few steps. His gaze locked onto the 9 heavens. The aura on his body started to build up. He was about to attempt the 9 heavens. Murong Xiong also followed and took a step forward, saying, "Big brother, listen to me, don't go to shrine, you will really lose your life. You are very strong, compared to my nephew. If the two of you join hands, I believe that your chances of winning will increase. I came here to wait for him." Murong Xiong really wanted to pull him into her group. Because the guy in front of him was really too strong. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, "There's no need, I have always been alone." Murong Xiong's gaze tensed up. It was also at this time. Xiao Bai suddenly asked, "Can we do what you and God's tribe have against each other?" Long Fei asked, "What enmity?" He didn't know. "All I know is that I want to overturn God's tribe, I want to stomp God's tribe to pieces." As soon as he finished, Long Fei flew up into the sky. In that instant, he directly charged into the 9 heavens below the guillotine. Overturn the God's tribe. It sounds like what boss said. Xiao Bai's gaze tensed up, and he wanted to ask again, "Are you the boss?" However, Long Fei's figure had already disappeared. Murong Xiong also let out a heavy sigh, and said, "Why don't these youngsters listen to advice? That recklessness is something that only the Shriness can do, it's something that comes from the 9th heaven beneath the guillotine. Anyone who enters would be sending themselves to their deaths." Sigh. Murong Xiong blamed himself. But he had said everything he could. Binghua asked, what is he doing in the gods' tribe? Revenge. Why is it now? Could it be to save the 13th dragon ancestor? At this moment. In another place. Long Fei's mind suddenly tensed up, as though he was suffocating. He retracted his feather god wings and fiercely fell down from the sky. Young Taoist was quick to react. He instantly grabbed Long Fei and asked, Senior brother, what's wrong? Long Fei's heart sped up, and said, No, I don't know. It was an indescribable feeling. He felt as if he had entered a very dangerous place, a dangerous place where he could destroy everything. He wanted control. He wanted to hold on to her, but there was nothing he could do. It was also because of this that he suddenly retracted his feather god wings. Looking at Long Fei's pale face, young Taoist asked, Senior brother, why don't we rest for a bit before leaving? Long Fei shook his head and said, Let's hurry over first. I have a feeling that something big is about to happen. This feeling was very strong. Moreover, the closer he got to the mountain, the more he felt that there was someone else in his body. A voice kept calling out to him. This feeling was getting stronger and stronger. Buzz, buzz, boom. With an explosive sound, the shrine trembled slightly. This sound was very special, as if the first heaven had been shattered. Anyone from the gods' tribe knew that the voice came from the 9 heavens beneath the guillotine. The gazes of the elders tightened. God's tribe, shrine. Report. A descendant of God's tribe hurried over. In the hall, all the presbyter of God's tribes tensed up and looked at the disciple. The great clan elder said excitedly, Has that little bastard Long Fei come? The disciple reporting to great elder, Someone has intruded into the 9 heavens beneath the guillotine. Challenge the 9 heavens? Does he think he's still at the 9 heavens? You overestimate yourself. The current 9 heavens are all the power of law. Who can break in? This kid is too conceited. All the elders looked on with disdain. No one could pass the current 9th heaven, and with a guillotine in the 9th heaven, it would be even more fatal. The great clan elder asked, Is it that brat Long Fei? The disciple replied, No. Huh. The grand elder's gaze immediately turned sinister. If it's not him, then who is it? The entire main hall quieted down. If we were to say that the universal realm S are completely under the control of the gods' tribe S, then only Long Fei and a small portion of the Xiao Yarrow City S are fighting against the gods' tribe S. However, other than Long Fei, who else would dare to challenge the 9th heaven? Murong Xiong? He knew that he had undergone the 9 heavens transformation, and he wouldn't dare to challenge it even if he was given 10 times the courage. Who else dares to fight the gods' tribe? He doesn't want to live anymore, right? He actually dares to challenge the 9 heavens. Who is this person? To dare challenge the dignity of the gods' tribe, you're courting death. Many of the elders spoke in a low voice. Towards this person who suddenly appeared, the presbyter of God's tribes were all incomparably furious. The disciple replied, This disciple also doesn't know this person's identity. This person seemed to have appeared out of nowhere. Just now, on the summit of the sky, Thunder Sect's sect master Wang Tong was instantly killed, and Wang Tong, even though his cultivation isn't high, he is still an overlord's peak realm. A pair of 30,000-pound bronze hammer is quite powerful. Even an ordinary sovereign realm powerhouse would not be his match. How could he be instantly killed? This person has quite the bit of strength. An elder said, Is there anything else? Go on. The disciple said, Also, just now, 2 of our God's tribe's disciples were also killed by him. Boom. The entire hall shook. How preposterous. This is too presumptuous. He wants to openly fight with the God's tribe, right? Immediately go investigate. You must have this kid's 18 generations of ancestors. No, every single one of the 81 generations must be found out. I want to let them all know the consequences of offending the God's tribe. All the elders in the hall were enraged. Killing the descendant of God's tribe in public was undoubtedly challenging the might of the heavens. If such a person was not eliminated, then where was the might of the heavens? The great elder's eyes turned vicious as he said coldly, "Are you sure he has entered the 9 heavens?" The disciple said, "I am sure that the elder of the guillotine is already closely observing his every move. He is currently struggling within the first layer of heaven and he won't be able to hold on for long." Each of the 9 heavens was bound by a layer of law. The first level was the law of annihilation. He was going to die if he went in. No one could fight against the law. No one could stand above the law. Just like how the Emperor Xian had recreated the 9 heavens, only the God's tribe was able to dominate the 9 heavens and only the God's tribe was able to wield the power to slay gods. The 9th heaven also signified the heavenly might of the God's tribe. Passing the 9 heavens? Impossible. The God's tribe would never allow such a thing to happen. When I almost allowed Long Fei to break through to the 9th heaven, God's tribe would never make that kind of mistake a second time. The great elder said, "Pay close attention and report at any time." Even though I don't know why he broke through to the 9th heaven, I'm sure it was related to 13th dragon ancestor, and it's actually like that. Humph, then I'll start flaying the dragon skin and pulling the dragon tendons. Fighting with the God's tribe is death, the great clan elder said in a gloomy voice. At this time, he had forcefully broken through to the 9th heaven, and even if he was not someone from the Long family S, he was still related to the Long family S. This sort of person must be killed. Yes, sir. Several elders flew out. The great clan elder laughed coldly. Fight with God's tribe? I want to see just how powerful you are. Ha ha ha. He let out a wild laugh. His voice spread out, passing directly through the 9 heavens. The face of the great elder appeared from the 9th heaven. He stared at Long Fei who was in the 1st heaven and said, "I don't care who you are, or what your goal is. If you go against my God's tribe, there will only be one outcome. That is death. You want to save the dragon ancestor? Then let me show you how these 13 dragons died in front of you. Ha ha ha." The sound came from the 9 heavens, exploding at the peak of the sky, spreading millions of kilometers away. The Grand Elder's cultivation realm was extremely terrifying. At the same time, 13 clan elders appeared at the entrance of shrine. In their hands, they held a special kind of sharp blade, which had a different name, skinned hook. It was specially used to peel demon beastess, and other than peeling, it could also pull cramps. Different from normal skinning hooks, these 13 skinning hooks that Presbyter of God's tribe had were all holy artifacts. What are they going to do? It can't be that we're going to skin the dragon, right? That must be it. First, let the blood flow, then peel it, pull out the tendons, strip the bones, and finally the dragon's soul. With this, even if the golden immortals of the great firmament ancient realm were to come, they wouldn't be able to save the 13 dragon ancestor. This is what happens when you go against the God's tribe. It's so good to be a good dog, at least you still have your life. Now you can't even be a dog. Ha ha ha. The dragon race is doing really terrible things. This is all the fault of the dragon race. If they didn't go together with the God's tribe, they wouldn't have done this. After the 13 elders took their positions, a huge projection appeared in the 9 heavens. The great clan elder laughed sinisterly. Did you see that? The dragon ancestor that you wanted to save is about to get ripped off. Ha ha ha. Kid. Is this great? Ha ha ha. The great elder laughed wildly. In the 9 heavens. Long Fei raised his eyes slightly, looking at the 13 dragon ancestors on the screen. His gaze grew dark and cold. In that instant, the aura on his body abruptly changed. The power of the law of annihilation within the first layer of the refinement realm suddenly tightened as it began to emit creaking sounds, giving off a feeling as if it was unable to withstand the pressure. Not only that, the aura being released from Long Fei's body had also become visible to the naked eye. The purple fog condensed and formed a couple of lines. One after another, the threads wrapped around his body, much like Do Chi. Slowly. Long Fei had originally been sitting cross-legged, but now he slowly stood up and stared at the great clan elder's huge illusory face. Originally, these things should not be done by me, but you have angered me. I want to destroy everything here. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Destroy this place. Do you know what kind of place this is? This is the god's tribe. Destroy this place. With just you. Kid. You think too much of yourself. If you want to fight with my god's tribe, you don't have the qualifications. The great clan elder disdainfully sneered. Watch carefully how the 13th dragon ancestor peels its muscles and tendons. As soon as he finished, the great clan elder's shadow disappeared, leaving behind the image of a 13th dragon ancestor. 13 presbyter of gods tribes stood on top of the dragon heads. They were high up in the sky, as if they were gods who ruled over everything. Their eyes were filled with ridicule, and the skinning hooks in their hands lightly swayed. Descend. Crack, crack. An incomparably crisp sound rang out, and it pierced directly into the center of every dragon ancestor's brows. At that moment, the 13th dragon ancestor's eyes moved, and quickly shrank back. Its body also began to tremble. A draconic roar came from his throat. His voice was trembling. This was a fear that came from the depths of his bones. Faced with the threat of death, they did not resist. On the other side, the 4 elders of the Heaven Lake sect were firmly controlling them. Even if they wanted to resist, they couldn't charge to get the seals taboo, and if they couldn't, they could only allow themselves to be slaughtered. There was nothing they could do, they could only watch as God's tribe ravaged them. Quick, look. The dragon ancestor is trembling. The dragon's roar is trembling. Look. A huge scene has appeared in the sky. The Dragon King was tens of thousands of meters long, so not many people could see this much. Many people could not see what was happening, but after the scene appeared, everyone could see clearly. 13 presbyter of gods tribes stood on top of the 13th dragon ancestor's head. The skinning hook had already pierced the center of the 13th dragon ancestor's brows. Watch them all. Long Fei, you cowardly turtle, I don't care where you are, this is the territory of my god's tribe. Your dragon clan is not even qualified to be my god's tribe's watchdog. Open your eyes and look carefully, this is the result of going against my god's tribe. Ha ha ha. The great elder laughed and said, do it. As soon as he finished, the 13 elders moved slightly. They grabbed the skinning hook that was stuck between their eyebrows and sliced it open. The dragon scales broke, and the dragon ancestor's spirit blood was drained dry without much left. Blood essence was the dragon's source of power. Now that their blood essence was gone, the defense of their bodies had been reduced to the lowest. The skinning hook easily pierced through the dragon's scale. With a sudden slash. With a flip of the dragon skin, the dragon bone was immediately exposed. The dragon tendons were pulsing within his flesh. Skin peeling. More dragon skin. Bleed first, then flay the tendons. This should be the most painful for a dragon, right? Ha ha ha. The god's tribe is mighty and domineering. This is the god's tribe. The result of offending him should be like this. Serves you right. This is the end. The current dragon clan. Are there any dragons in this world? Dog tribe, ha ha ha. Please don't insult the dogs, they are better than the dragons. Ha ha ha. All sorts of mocking laughter rang out. Skinning and cramping. These scenes were simply too shocking. In an instant, Bing Hua was the first to be unable to hold it in. He could not tolerate his ancestors being trampled upon like this. The dignity of the dragon race was trampled upon in an instant. Boom. The ice flower turned into a dragon and with a flap of its wings, it shot straight into the sky. Hualala. It was also at this time. The man atop the mountain trembled slightly. It's that wyvern. A dragon of this level actually dared to appear. Little brother? It's just a bunch of trash. Long Fei is just a piece of trash. The people around him are also a bunch of trash. He did not finish his words. His throat had been cut, and blood was gushing out. He could not say a single word. Behind him, a cold dagger. Yimai's blade. It was also at this time that panic filled the crowd, people from the Xiao Yarrow city. It's those sinners. Are these people here to die? Mother ***, this trash. Roar. With a howl of a wolf, the person who spoke was instantly pushed to the ground. Xiao Bai immediately transformed into his white wolf and bit off that person's neck, and asked with a deep voice, who is the trash? Fresh blood. He had transformed into a wolf, exposing himself and at the same time exposing Murongxiong and the others. However, at this time, there was already nothing that he could not expose. Even if Xiao Bai and Bing Hue were not exposed, Murongxiong himself would not be able to hold back his anger. God's tribe's words were too unpleasant. Boom. Murongxiong took off his helmet, said with a heavy sound, "Today, this daddy is here to take care of God's tribe. Whoever dares to stop me, this daddy will not let that happen." Murongxiong revealed himself. The experts at the summit of the mountain were stunned yet again. It really is them. People of the Xiao Yarrow city. Murongxiong, you won't be able to escape death today. He actually dares to appear here, and wants to go all out against the God's tribe. Ha ha ha. Murongxiong, don't you think it's funny? Suddenly, Murongxiong's figure moved, his figure swept past the few people who mocked him, and immediately followed with 5 fingers spread out, space splitter. An uproar. The air around those powerhouse suddenly cracked. Moreover, their bodies were completely out of control, directly sucked in by the power of the space cracks. Their bodies continued to compress, their bones exploded, thrusting out their bodies, fresh blood madly gushed out. Their over 100 Jin bodies were forcibly compressed into a small round ball, which was then swallowed by the space cracks. After swallowing it, the space recovered. Only a puddle of blood was left on the ground. Murongxiong's eyes swept across and said, "Those who block me, die." Vicious and domineering. On the other side, Tan Dapao had also stepped on a peak overlord powerhouse under his feet. His right arm moved, transforming into a pitch-black cannon. Bam! With an explosive sound, the head exploded. The blade of the sword pierced through the two. Queen of Blood Moon was even more cruel. A powerhouse was killed by him in a frenzy, even his scalp was torn off. In the end, he could not hold on any longer and fell to the ground. All of them were filled with rage. This rage finally exploded out. Boom! A loud explosion resounded. The ice and fire wings that were rushing towards Shrine broke apart as they heavily fell down. In that instant earlier, he had touched the God's tribe's formation. The power of the formation broke his wings. Ice and fire fell down. Xiao Bai flew up, ice and fire. Blood spurted from the corner of Bing Hua's mouth as his face turned extremely pale. Humph. A bunch of dregs who don't know their place. The great clan elder snorted coldly, stared at Murongxiong, and said, "I knew you would appear. I've also been waiting for you to show up. Murongxiong, you've come today. Then, you can forget about leaving." The great clan elder's voice was cold and sinister. He said, "Whoever can kill them will be able to obtain the power of an ancient inheritance and become a descendant of God's tribe. They will then enter the shrine and receive the inheritance of the God's tribe's blood vein." As soon as he finished, red light flashed in the eyes of the Powerhouse S at the peak of the mountain. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.